It's so incredibly powerful that it basically leads the entire progression and procession of the way we feel.
Right.
If you can, like I just described, you can be in physically what appears to be perfect health and do what appears to be everything right. And if you really dig deeper, you might find some changes in that, because I have lots of friends who work out all the time, and
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
A Texas man has been convicted of threatening to lynch the Nashville DA.
Glenn Funk, 60-year-old David Aaron Boyd of Frost, Texas, was found guilty by a federal jury of one count of communicating a threat in interstate commerce. The Justice Department says the threats came after another member of the group was charged with aggravated assault in Nashville for fighting with a bar employee. Boyd faces up to 5 years in prison at sentencing. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Jurors in the case of two men charged with cutting down the sycamore gap tree that once stood along the ancient Hadrian's Wall in northern England did not reach a verdict after several hours of deliberations. The tree was not Britain's biggest or oldest, but it was prized for its picturesque setting along the ancient wall built by Emperor Hadrian in AD 122 to protect the northwest frontier of the Roman Empire. I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
Let's get ready to rumble!
It's time for All In, cast live from beautiful casinos, giving you the insider info on all your favorite Philly sports teams.
You'll find all of the news is here.
All In is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB, your home on the radio dial in Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties. Now go live to All In. Here are your hosts, the pastor of the poker face.
That's you. All right, welcome to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB, live from Mount Airy Casino and Resort in Mount Pocono, PA. I'm John Brazer, Director of Fun and Games of Fighting Phils. I am not the master of the poker face?
Yes, the pastor.
The pastor of the poker face.
I think that was it. Master or pastor?
Pastor, all right. Is it pastor or master?
Master.
It's master. Well, it should be pastor because we just elected a new pope, Pope Leo the 14th,
Yes.
who is from the United States, the only pope ever to come to the United States.
USA.
And he went to Villanova. How about that?
Wow.
Which means, you know what that means, Chris?
No.
That means the Knicks are going to win the NBA championship because there's 3 Villanova players on that team. Now they have papal help.
They got Pope Leo on their side.
Pope Leo on their side. How about that? All right, well, Chris.
It didn't take long for the conclave. I don't know, did you catch the movie The Conclave, which
I
now
did not.
is getting more play and with all this stuff?
I would like to watch it.
Check it out.
I've been to Vatican City, and I went into the Vatican Museum, which is awesome, and the Sistine Chapel and all that. Very excited, but it seemed pretty quick, right? I think there was black smoke yesterday, right? And then 2 days ago. Yesterday, right.
The whole thing took 2 days.
Yes, it was quick. All right, but we are not here to talk. We have on our buddy Ben Jones, who is the CEO of BCWSA, and we're going to have Dickie Noles, who I just, it's so funny, I see Dickie all the time, and I'll do tours during games, and I always bump into Dickie, and I loved it, and you introduce someone to Dickie, and Dickie will show the ring, tell the story about George Brett, tell other stories. Next thing you know, they're there for 20 minutes. So we're going to have some good stories from Dickie Noles.
Looking forward to that, John, but I do not want to wait to talk Phillies baseball until Dickie Noles gets here.
No.
We are your spot on the radio dial for the Phillies, and a 7-0 win in that Steinbrenner field is just so weird. To see the dimensions, the way, I guess they have like how the cameras are set up. They don't have the typical MLB angles and shots, and I don't know, but Phillies are enjoying it.
Phillies are enjoying it, and people say, well, they're doing it in a minor league park. Well, you know what? There's 2 major league teams playing in a minor league park. That's one thing. 2 is that they say that night games, it's the real big offensive games so far there have been day games. I guess the wind carries more during day games than the night, the way the stadium is built. But I mean, some great signs, Chris, from this actually the last week. I mean, last night, if you take last night's game.
Yeah, who was on the mound at the end of that game?
Well, that's what I was going to say. One of the big things.
I didn't recognize that guy.
Obviously, Christopher Sanchez started the game. He went 6 innings, and he didn't have his control, but it didn't matter because he still pitched. I mean, Christopher Sanchez, to me, I said going into the season that Christopher Sanchez, a lot of people were saying he has a dark horse to win the Cy Young Award. And right now, I'm not backing off that because, right now he's 4-1. Last night he went 6 innings pitched against his former team.
Gave up 1 hit.
0 earned runs, 3 walks. Is a little wild. 5 Ks. And then, as you said, he turned the ball over to Taijuan Walker.
Oh, is that who that was?
Taijuan Walker, yes. Yeah, I know. You probably weren't ready for it. And he came in, and I tell you what, he struck out the side the first 2 innings. Then he got a strikeout to end the game. So he had 7 strikeouts. The 9 batters he faced, well, I guess he gave up a hit. So 10 batters he faced, 7 were strikeouts.
I was not expecting it, but felt like his whole attitude, his approach, his demeanor was a little bit different. Had an edge to it in that relief role, and it helped him. I mean, maybe if he had that little fire under him for getting sent to the bullpen.
Well, I think it's just a different mindset. I don't know if it's fire, because I think he has fire when he's out there starting. But I think he...
Yeah, but you gotta imagine, that's got to motivate a guy in a certain way. It's kind of like a demotion.
Right. But yes, it is. But what I like about Taijuan Walker is last year, no doubt about it, he struggled. I mean, he big time struggled. But the good news is Taijuan Walker took the ball. He didn't complain. He's getting booed. I'm sure he heard the talk radio. I'm sure he reads the newspaper and sees online. And he did not. I'm in the locker room here and there, and he is one of the really good guys on the team with a great attitude. And he took the demotion, probably knowing that when Suarez comes back, he's going to the bullpen. And you know what? I think he prepared like any professional. He said he talked to some of the guys in the bullpen. He talked to a couple guys. Suarez has been in the bullpen before. He talked to Joe Ross, who had been in the bullpen before. So he talked to some of the guys that have done that role, that have gone from starter to bullpen to kind of get. And you know what? It's somewhat freeing because if you're in the bullpen, you can let it go for 2 or 3 innings, right? 1, 2, 3 innings. When you're starting, you've got to kind of pace yourself. You've got to mix it up, right? But his velocity was ramped up because he was probably knowing that he's only going at least 3 innings.
I mean, even any reliever that goes out there for more than 1 inning is unusual anymore. Right. So for him to pitch all 3 and to do so effectively, I don't know, another good sign for the Philadelphia Phillies.
If he pitches, I'm not expecting him to go 3 innings, 7 strikeouts, no runs, and 1 hit. But if he gives us that back then, I think Rob Thompson's going to ease him in to the bullpen role. You know, at first I'm thinking he's just going to be a mop-up guy if we're losing 8-1.
Certainly didn't ease him in yesterday.
Put him in. Well, we were up, but yeah, you're right. But I think he's going to. But I really think he wanted to save the bullpen yesterday.
Yeah, not a high leverage situation.
Not a high leverage situation. It saved the bullpen. And again, now I think based on that performance, again, it's one performance, but based on that performance, I could see Rob, putting him in a little more high leverage situations and then see what we got. Or maybe it's someone goes 5 innings, we're in the game, and you want to save the bullpen, let Taijuan Walker go for 4 innings, 3 innings.
At BCB, you're the fun and games director for the Philadelphia Phillies. We have our own
Senior
fun and games director.
I gave myself I think I just recently gave myself a title change. I'm now going to be. I've been there 31 years. I'm giving myself senior director of fun and games.
Okay.
Guys, again.
That just makes you sound a little old.
All right, I'm back to director of fun and games.
Just be the fun and games guy.
Director of fun and games.
But we have our own fun and games guy at BCB, Gus Barber.
Okay, yeah, I know Gus.
Put up a Phillies poll. I want to get your answer. We got already a portion of the season done.
Okay.
But gauged everybody's expectations for this year. How many wins would the Phillies have? And everybody added in their 2 cents. Most of the BCB people, I think, had them for 90-plus wins. I'm wondering where you think the Phillies are going to wind up after seeing a little bit of how this season is unfolding, what you might expect down the road. Didn't look good against the Mets and the Braves, but we beat the Cubs, and they've won, I think, 8 of 3 series right now, so playing good baseball. John Brazer, do you have a number?
I do. So they have played 36 games. They've won 21 of 36 games, okay? So we are, we're getting close to the quarter-mile mark, right?
Yeah, I was trying to work my math to see exactly what that would trend to be at the end of the year.
Yeah, we're almost at the quarter-mile mark. So right there, you're looking at over, if we keep pace, we're looking at probably 80. I think we're high 80s right there. Maybe even 90, something like that. So I think there's upside because I think the bullpen faltered a while. I think it's going to still need to get the feet under Kirkring, Romano, but I also think we haven't seen the offense is clicking right now, but we haven't seen Harper take over. At some point we're going to have Harper take over. We are much better in the warm when the weather gets warm, so we're approaching that.
Hitting weather.
Maybe Taijuan Walker does stabilize the bullpen, help too. Again, you're also looking at down the road, you're going to have Andrew Painter coming in end of July. I'm very optimistic. I don't think we've hit our stride. And we've left a lot of runners on scoring position, in our losses. So I say 90. I'm going to say 92.
I was even more optimistic.
I know. I can't go higher. I'd love to go higher, but I just think the division's too good. The Braves are going to get Acuna back. They're going to get Strider back. Mets are, I don't know if they're fool's gold or not. I didn't think their starting pitching would be this good. And at some point I want to talk to you about 2 of the pitchers on the Mets. There's a new pitch. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's a new pitch that's kind of taken over baseball. Remember the cutter
the sweeper
took over, the sweeper takes over. And the sweeper is really just a variation on the slider. But a new pitch, it's called a kick change. Okay, have you heard of this?
No.
It's a change-up splitter hybrid that has surged in popularity. A year ago, a right-hander from the Giants, Hayden Birdsong, introduced it to Major League Baseball. And now 3 of the starters that are having much better years than they're expected for the Mets, Clay Holmes came over from the Yankees, Tyler McGill and Griffin Canning. They have a combined 2.66 ERA in 108 innings, okay, across 21 starts. And a lot of people are saying it is one factor in their success, in the 3 pitchers' success, and a recent product of a larger data-driven trend which is dominating the baseball industry. So, and again, it is a changeup that drops off the table like a splitter. So changeup is hard enough because it looks like a fastball. The arm motion is the same as a fastball, but it's 8 to 10 miles per hour, right? So if the hitter's already got to figure, all right, I'm going to sit on a changeup. Well, all of a sudden that changeup's coming in and then it just drops. That's I don't know how long they can do it. I don't know if it causes injuries. I don't know if the hitters will catch up to the kick change. But
how long do you think it would take one of the Phillies guys in rotation to develop that kind of pitch? I mean, that's like a spring training thing.
It could be, but I had Cole Hamels on our podcast, and he said that. Check a little plug backstage at Burgoyne and Brazier, live right now. So, but Cole said when he pitched in the rotation, he was getting getting tips from Holiday, from Oswalt, from all the guys in the rotation, and then they tinker. They're
evolution.
in the bullpen a lot and tinkering, and all of a sudden, if they tinker enough, then all of a sudden, what? This is actually working. I got the grip down, I got the arm motion down. Boom! I'm gonna try it maybe on 1 pitch in a game. And all of a sudden, wow, that went well. We'll try it for 5 pitches. Wow, that went well. Maybe I can put this into my arsenal. So I don't know. I don't know how hard. Most of these guys throw a changeup. It's just then putting the added component of the splitter.
Well, I'll put that in the category of the torpedo bat. I'm not sure how to deal with that so far.
I don't know how to deal with it either. And again, the player's going to have to make adjustments if that becomes a
And on
fad.
both of those things, because players do adjust, I got to imagine that eventually they're going to be able to change those numbers around. You talk about how data-driven baseball is right now.
Yep.
I'm thinking the more that kick change is worked in and the more guys see it, then the more those numbers are going to even out a little bit.
They could start recognizing it, and then they say, you know what, this thing's going to drop out of the zone. It's not going to be a strike. Then all of a sudden they'll say, all right, either their brain will be able to process based on the spin or something, some little tell. Then they'll say, all right, lay off that, because that's, unless it comes in high, lay off that like a knuckleballer. It's almost like adjusting to a knuckleball pitcher, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's can mess up your swing, but
if you adjust accordingly, but again, baseball is all about adjustment, so we will see. So yes, I think the Mets, who knows whether they're mirage right now, but they definitely have a good lineup. The best signing they made this offseason was Pete Alonso. Like, they wanted to get rid of Alonso. They basically gave every signal that we're not going to sign Alonso, we're going to let him go. We've got Soto, blah, blah, blah. And they signed him kind of surprisingly late. And thankfully for them, because Alonso is off, he's off to an unbelievable start.
All right, everybody. John Brazer with us, Director of Fun and Games for the Philadelphia Phillies. John, I got to ask you, any chance in bringing back the old painter's cap? Remember that, like MAB,
Well, I don't see why. Well, I don't know. I guess if it's trendy, because it's certainly not a cost thing, because we give away. Did you see the jacket we gave away to women last Sunday?
No, it was a Mother's Day thing?
A Mother's Day gift. All women 15 over got a puffer vest. It was a white puffer vest with a red Phillies P, and I'm telling you, it looked like something that would be sold in the New Era store. And so if we're going to spend
I love the bucket
money
hats,
on a
by the way. So
puffer vest, then I think a paper hat would be, that's like a growth chart, probably the cost of a growth chart.
Well, that like has like a certain nostalgia for me, though.
It does,
that painter's cap from back in the day when the Phillies were playing in the vet.
We used to do that all the time, painter hat. I don't know. You know what? We have a promotions meeting next week. I will bring it up and say Chris Ermer wants to do the painter hat.
Make sure to mention my name.
I will. I got to give it some levity. Brevity or levity.
We got to jump around. Going to take on all different Philly sports topics. We're here with All In on WBCB from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. And John, I want to ask you about the Flyers. And in relation to the Flyers, have you ever been lost in the wilderness? We're up here in the Pocono Mountains, and I want to get your best story about being lost
in the wilderness.
In nature.
Yes, I did.
I knew it. John, he's got a story for every topic, every occasion.
Well, first of all, let me just tell you, this is the first time that I'm here at the Mount Airy Casino and Resort in Mount Pocono, and I got to tell you, it's cool. I've been up here many times. When I was a kid, I used to ski at Elk Mountain and Jack Frost and Camelback, and then my daughter loved skiing. She was on the ski team at her school, so I come up here all the time. I don't get here because we have a place at the shore. And because I do the radio show down the shore, I don't get up here during nice weather. And it was funny. Today is 80 degrees, and I was coming up here, and it's absolutely gorgeous with the mountains in the backdrop. And I know a lot of people, there's so many fun things to do. I know Camelback and some other mountains turn into, like water parks and some other cool things. And then as I'm pulling into the drive, you see the golf course. I know we were talking to Lee Alexander, and we're going to golf out there. We were talking about it, for, I guess, the schedules, but man, I'm coming back here and golf, and I'm a big music fan, so I'm sure there's some good music acts coming up. I know there's some good music acts coming up. So
Nicole's going to let us know more about that, what's coming up here in the summer, and PGA golf in Philly.
I'm going tomorrow, the Truist. Now, I picked the one day where it's going to be pouring rain, but it's the only day I could do it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's I went and saw the senior PGA Tour when it was at Philly Cricket, and it was really cool. I went to the BMW tournament when it was at Aronimink, and that was great. And just down in Clearwater, the month of March, they have a Valspar down there, and I've been there a bunch of times. So going to a golf tournament is, even if you're not a golf fan, it's very cool.
Maybe they'll bring the PGA up here to Mount Airy.
There you go.
All right, we're going to step aside. We'll return. You got to talk about the Flyers and the Sixers and about being lost Where are these franchises? We'll talk more about
Do
that.
I get to tell my story of being lost in the wilderness?
I'm looking forward to it. It's coming up here on BCB.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Seeger Tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m.
1, 2, 3.
Visit Mount Airy Casino to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Go into
1993 National League champion.
we can keep
Every
this really
champion
low.
needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource.
Check.
Water.
1, 2, 3.
Whether you're
check.
washing
1, 2,
dishes,
3, 4.
brushing your teeth,
Sounds
or watering
good.
your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We gathered real Pennsylvania seniors and asked them how they would benefit from an extra $1,000. Here's what they had to say.
Everything is so expensive these days.
Car expenses, repairs.
My groceries, heating costs.
Medications. Sure, I could easily spend $1,000 like that.
Through Pennsylvania's property tax rent rebate program, eligible seniors and adults with disabilities could receive up to $1,000. Check your eligibility and apply online. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
We now return to All In.
All right, welcome back to All In. We're at the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa, doing our thing live from the poker room. Chris Ermer with the Director of Fun and Games for the Philadelphia Phillies, John Brazer. And loving where the Phillies are at right now. Eagles, right? I mean, I've not felt this good about the Eagles in my lifetime, where they are right now, how well they did in the Super Bowl. But my tendency always is, I don't know, it seems to be like to look at the sore spots in the Philly sports.
You got to be a fountain, not a drain, Chris.
I try.
You've got to be a fountain, because there's a lot of if you nitpick, then if you're looking for the problems, then there's going to be some problems. And I don't think there's going to be some problems with the Eagles. First of all, a big signing just the other day. Huge signing, Goddard.
Yes.
They needed to do that because they really don't have, unless they think Dotson's going to be their number 3 receiver. If you have Dotson as your number 3 receiver and you didn't have Goddard and you were going with Grant
Calcaterra.
Calcaterra. I almost said Calcutta. Then who's not he's just not proven as a pass catcher. That was a big one. So I feel very good with their offense.
Yeah, loving where the Eagles are at, but I want to talk about being lost.
Oh.
And this past summer went up to the Appalachia Trail and did a little overnight backpacking, which mixed results. It was a great adventure, although we didn't stay up on the mountain as long as we wanted to because it's tough up there.
Yeah.
We got a little dehydrated,
Right.
and I ended up calling in for like the
reinforcements.
Some help to come take us off the mountain. But had a great time, and there were a number of times up there where we didn't know where we were going, and we got a little bit off the trail and couldn't see where the next blaze was.
Right.
And that
did you not remember astronomy with Orion's belt and the North Star and all that? Could you use that to guide yourself?
Triangulation.
Okay.
I was following the sun.
All right.
But no, we got back on trail. But the moment that you feel like you are lost in the wilderness is a very, very scary moment.
Yes.
And I feel like
because you don't have control. Everyone likes to have control, right?
as a sports fan, I don't have control of what's going on with the Flyers and the
Right.
Sixers.
You'd like to, though.
And I'm wondering where where the next blaze is for
Well-
both of these franchises. Now, a disappointment that the Flyers, they actually lose 2 spots in the draft lotto, which doesn't seem right. It's like an injustice that we.
Well, it was a worst case scenario. It was a worst case scenario that 2 of the teams they were basically supposed to pick 4th, right?
Yes.
And they could move up. They could move to even 1. And with this draft, there's a game-changing defenseman who's both offensive and a stay-at-home guy, and then a center that the 2 would have been, well, I think they need more of the center, but this guy, Michael Misa, who will probably go to the Islanders, the team that jumped him. Michael Misa is a stud, an absolute stud. He's not – I don't think he's going to be on the same level as Connor McGregor or Austin Matthews, but he's a stud. And then, again, the defense is Matthew Schaefer.
You're just making me feel bad. These are guys that the Flyers are not going to get.
They're not going to, but they probably wouldn't have gone Schaefer anyway, because even if they had the second pick, assuming that Islanders went first and we had the second, because they've got a lot of young prospects as defensemen. Where it's going to, and the good news is, they're picking 6th.
Wait, hold on. There's good news.
There is good news because they're picking 6th, and the good news is a defenseman's already going to be picked, so that takes one of the. There's probably going to be a winger picked, and this draft is front loaded with a lot of centers. That the center, the type, and that's what they need. They need a guy that can basically. Him and Mishkov can basically. Mishkov needs a center. Needs someone facilitator, someone that can take the pressure off or set him up. The one guy that is interesting to see, I'm going to butcher the name, but there's a guy, Caleb Denoyer. His brother plays for the Flyers. And this guy is a stud, 6'1", 178. He's got the size, skating ability. He's going to be an impact center. And he's got the inside track because, again, they know his brother. They probably know the family. It would be pretty cool. But again, and then there's a winger will be taken again with our 6th pick. There's a guy Porter Martone who is going to be picked at some point in the top 6, and then you got Hagens who went to Boston College, and then you got this guy Anton Frondel, another center, and then it's Jake O'Brien. So there's going to be a center and they all have different. One guy might have injury concerns. One guy might not have hit his peak offensively. One guy might not be a 2-way. But I think they're sitting pretty good. And they have another draft. They have like 4 draft picks in the first 2 rounds, I think. It's pretty crazy.
I hope it is going to kind of net some results for this franchise because as a fan, I just feel like they have been dealing in false hope. Every time this guy could be, maybe we'll be able to get a center. And last year, what was disappointing with how that kind of wrapped up.
Yes, I hear you. But the good news,
they don't know where they're going.
But the good news is they do have a building block around Mishkov, and Mishkov should have been in the running for the Rookie of the Year award, and I can't believe he's not.
The other thing that Flyers fans don't talk about enough is we lost this other major building block called Carter Hart. And that was a very unlucky, unfortunate situation, which was out of the control of the Flyers, and you kind of put that in a whole separate category. But this team, not only have they had some bad decisions and not been able to have their players, but then you got some bad luck mixed in there. I don't know. I just feel like it's never going to turn around for the Flyers because they don't have a path, and they don't know where they're going right now.
I think the change of leadership, I do believe in Jonesy as president. I believe in Danny Brazer. Now, they've got to show it, but I do believe that they're again, they have a lot of draft picks. They've got a really young goalie named who's playing in the KHL right now, Yegor Zavragin. That's a tough part about hockey if you're an announcer. Zavragin, right? He's like 19 years old, so we'll see. He was in the draft pick, 2023 draft pick. They also had this Carson Bjarnason, who's another guy they picked in 2023. I think the Zavragin has a higher upside, but the goalie situation, I equate it to two things. If you ever see the movie Spinal Tap?
Oh yeah, turn it up to 11.
But Spinal Tap, where do they have the problem with Spinal Tap? Which band member? What was the goal? It was the drummer. One drummer died in a bizarre gardening accident. one puked on his own vomit, right? And you can't dust for vomit, they said. But they have a problem with their drummers. The Grateful Dead. If you follow the Grateful Dead, they're keyboardists. You don't want to be a keyboardist of the Grateful Dead. If someone says, if Dead and Company or any iteration of the Dead says, hey, Chris Ermer, we need you to fill in for keyboard. Can you tour with us in 2025?
I'll say I know chopsticks.
Run for the hills, because you're not going to. Because they had Pigpen, they had all these different guys that didn't have good luck.
It's like being a Flyers goalie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the Spinal Tap drummer, the Grateful Dead keyboardist, the Flyers goalie. It's. I hope that this can change. And again, we've got a couple of young guys in the system, and hopefully with the direction of Danny Brazer and with all the draft picks we have this year, if they do a free agent spending, it'll be more on the line this year. It's not a great free agent class. If they do a free agent signing, it'll be more, let's get some senior leadership and get us in the right direction, similar to when the Phillies were about to make the big move. They signed Tomey, but they weren't ready yet, and they knew they weren't ready yet, but they needed Tomey to kind of bridge the gap until the generation that we need that's going to take off.
Yeah, provide some legitimacy.
Provide some legitimacy, so then free agents will say, Flyers are serious, I want to go there, blah, blah, blah. So I think they will get somebody, a couple guys to kind of build it, but I think it's the next year. I think it's 2026, I think, that you're going to see a big leap. Hopefully some younger guys catching more experience and then really going out and trying to get some big fish in the free agency.
All right, John, tell us about your situation where you were lost, like in the wilderness, in nature.
Well, I don't know if one time I taught at a summer camp for kids up in Maine, Sebago Lake.
Like teach them survival and
stuff?
No.
I went up there. I was the lacrosse coach, and I ended up becoming the hockey coach too. They had deck hockey, and they were serious about deck hockey. So I was hired to be the lacrosse counselor up there. All these kids are from New York. I was a lacrosse counselor, and then I ended up being the hockey counselor as well.
There's a lot of wilderness in Maine.
Well, there's a lot of wilderness in Maine, and I took a bunch of 20 kids with another counselor, and we went on a canoe trip. And there was a marking of where we were supposed to stop, based on a white flag that's around the bend, a mile down the road. Whatever.
Easy to miss.
Well, we went past it. I didn't see it, and the other counselor was behind us, so they were lagging. So next thing you know, I'm still looking for the white flag, and I can't find it.
Like in the movie of your life,
and then
there's going to be a waterfall.
Well, it's getting a little darker, and I end up pulling over, and then I think there might have been another counselor with me, and I told the other counselor, you stay with the kids. I'm going to take a couple of the kids, and we're going to go through the woods and try to somehow. I'm here to live and tell about it, and I didn't lose a kid, and I didn't lose myself. So, but yes, it is very scary when you're out in nature, and let me just tell you, I'm going to a wedding. My niece is getting married in Montana this September, right? So my My wife made the arrangements. The wedding is right outside Yellowstone, and she found this cabin, which is not far from where the wedding's going to be. And the lady called her and said, "Oh, you're going to love this cabin. Make sure to bring your binoculars because the grizzlies like to come down and sunbathe not too far from the cabin." And my wife's telling me this, and I'm like, "Whoa! Can we get another cabin? Is it too late? Do we put the deposit down? Because I can see."
I'd love that.
Well, I can see my daughter like leaving food, like eating Doritos out on the porch, and leaves a half bag of Doritos, and then next you know, Mr. Grizzly Bear comes up on the porch trying to figure out what else is in there and wanders inside and sees a big meal.
All right, we're here at the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa doing that all-in thing. Great to be here, and I want to ask you, John, when we return, NBA playoffs right now are going on, and James Harden has been eliminated once again.
And Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons played on the same team as James Harden.
I mean, Ben Simmons, an all-star with the NBA, right? But never was the MVP of the league.
No.
And I'm wondering if there are other guys from other sports that you would put into a James Harden kind of category of guys that trick you. They look so good, so talented.
Right.
They have so much potential, and yet when it comes to the big game, to the final moments, to the championships, they come up small. He is in a category unto himself when you think of OKC.
That's a great question right there.
He's been.
I'd have to think about that. I got to tell you, I'm not a huge NBA guy. I do follow because I'm a huge sports fan, but it's really interesting that the Knicks. Again, we talked about Pope Leo the 14th. Went to Villanova, and the Knicks have 3 guys from Villanova on the team, which means they're going to be destined to win. But the Knicks basically have upset the Celtics, right, in 2 games.
Yes.
And the Celtics style is just shoot threes, shoot threes, right?
They shot 100 threes in this playoff series, and they made 25.
And they're 0-2. So the Knicks are playing grinded out ball and just the old school basketball. And then on the other side, Cleveland. I know they have injuries. Cleveland, I'm kind of rooting for Cleveland because I went to UVA. DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome are on Cleveland. And Cleveland, I feel sorry for the city itself because they never win anything. When's the last time a team from Cleveland has won?
LeBron.
Right. That's probably the last. The Browns haven't won in. I don't even. Have they won in my lifetime? I don't know.
They haven't been close.
Right. They don't have a hockey team, and the Indians haven't won in a while.
Every once in a while, they kind of threaten with a good baseball season.
And I don't want to upset the baseball gods because we play the Indians starting tomorrow. So I'm kind of rooting for Cleveland, but Cleveland is beaten or has lost. Cleveland was a huge favorite, and next thing you know, the Pacers have taken him down twice. One, this Halliburton guy is just going completely nuts. So it'll be interesting. And then the other side, who knows whether it's going to be Oklahoma City. Probably Oklahoma City will emerge on the other side. So I'd like to see an Oklahoma City, Cleveland if they can come back. And actually, to tell you the truth, this is going to sound blasphemous to Philadelphia fans. I wouldn't mind if it's Oklahoma City versus Knicks because I think it would be a good style of basketball. I will root for the Oklahoma City, right? Because I can't root for a New York team ever.
I guess. I don't know. You seem to love this Villanova vibe.
I kind of like I do. I like the. Yeah. I rooted for those guys in college, so I kind of. This is the only New York team that I've ever. There's part of me that wants me to root for them, but I can't.
It's not right.
It's not right. Right. You can't.
All right, we're going to step aside here. Nicole Krieger will join us when we return, and we'll talk more about the Sixers and the NBA playoffs and if there's other guys that are in that kind of trickster role like James Harden when we return here in just a little. I'm so glad you're here instead of Paul Jalovitz because one thing Paul Jalovitz loves to do is to rip on James Harden. And he would have at least a half an hour, I think, prepared on how disappointing this guy has been. So, anyway, John Brazer in for Paul Jalovitz. We're back with more of All In on WBCB in just a bit.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, prove it.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Album Sides is back on BCB. Join us weekday mornings at 11 for Album Sides. We've got great music, gonna spin some of the best albums of all time. It's Album Sides with yours truly, the philosopher Chris Ermer. Weekday mornings at 11 right here on 107.3 FM and 1490 WBCB. You can also listen live at WBCB1490.com.
We now return to All In.
All right, we're back to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. I'm John Brazer, joined by Chris Ermer.
Yeah.
And Chris, why don't you tell us about where we are right now?
We're here at the Mount Airy Casino and Resort. Are you ready for a summer packed with entertainment? I bet you are.
Unforgettable entertainment.
No question. June 14th, they got Hollywood Nights coming in here. The Bob Seger tribute.
I'm a big Bob Seger fan. I saw Bob Seger about 3-4 years ago. And Bob Seger to me, Bob Seger to me is one of those artists that I took for granted growing up. You know, I grew up in the 70s. And you heard all of his songs, you know, old-time rock and roll. And, I mean, he's got a million hits. And when I saw that show, I was like, man, why didn't I get into Bob Seger earlier?
I hear that.
So
like Night Moves and
he's
stuff.
got so many hits. So actually, so if you have I love these, you know, tribute bands, especially bands that have so many hits, right? And Bob Seger being one of them. So I'm at June 14th?
Yes.
All right. I might have to look at that one.
July 12th, they got Earth to Mars coming in. And why don't we just bring in Nicole Krieger to the show? Welcome.
Thank you. Hi. Thanks for having me.
All right, so you kind of put together all this entertainment for the summer. We were talking about it earlier today on Upwards, but the Bob Seger tribute, was it
Bruno Mars?
Bruno Mars tribute.
Yep. And then released just today is the Bruce in the USA, which is a Bruce Springsteen tribute for August 16th. And
all right.
We haven't told anybody yet.
Wow, you're breaking news right here.
How many times do you think John Brazier has seen Bruce Springsteen?
I don't know how many times I've seen Bruce Springsteen.
I'm gonna go.
What,
with
you lost
17.
track?
No, I think I've seen Bruce about.
Oh, I'm going to guess.
Good.
6.
I was about to say 5. I've seen him. I saw his last 2 shows at the ballpark, and I'm a big Bruce, like early Bruce. Greetings from Asbury Park is one of those albums that I think, back in the day, I knew every word to every song. I remember when you were a kid, you'd put the turntable. I don't know if I'm old, so I'd put the turntable, in the living room, and I'd get a new album and I'd put it on. And this is the lost art. And now that I'm glad that vinyl's coming back, but you'd listen to a album, and I literally would read the lyrics while the song's going on, and that's how I remembered a lot of these. And then they had the Wild, the Innocent, the East Street Shuffle, and which obviously the big one,
Born in the USA.
Born to Run.
USA? Oh,
No, Born to Run.
Right.
So those 3, and then and I still liked The River and some other ones, but I kind of and they had I did like The Rising, which is the post 9/11 one.
It's become a much more Bruce Springsteen segment than I was anticipating.
That's all right. Well, I'm actually friends with Bruce's original. Maybe that's why I'm partial to the early Bruce, because Vinny Mad Dog Lopez was the original drummer for Bruce for his first 2 albums.
That was
and
before
then
Max came in, right?
Yes, and then Vinny Mad Dog and Bruce were great buddies. He was one of the original E Street Band members, but he started fights and brawled and drank, and I think Bruce just and then Vinny went on. He's writing a book right now. Vinny went on to be in Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes and was at caddy in the PGA Tour. So yes, so I like Bruce. I might have to check out the Bruce, and that's August 16th.
August 16th.
Yes.
August 16th.
Is he playing old Bruce or new Bruce?
Both.
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 All right.
Everything.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The whole catalog.
Good.
No,
All right. And you can visit MountAiryCasino.com for more information or to purchase tickets. Again, it's June 14th, Hollywood Nights, Bob Seger tribute. July 12th with Earth to Mars, which is a Bruno Mars tribute. Then August 16th, it's Bruce in the USA. And one of the ones, Art Garfunkel is a big Phillies fan, and I've met Art a bunch of times. I asked him, is there a current artist, singer, because he's very sensitive about people that are really good singers. He doesn't like artists that are great artists but aren't really, because he's a technically trained singer. He said Bruno Mars is one of the best singers out there.
Oh, okay.
So there you have it.
The other thing they got coming in, they're going to bring in a psychic medium, John, so you
Really?
can get in touch with beings on the other side of the veil.
Is that right?
Yeah.
October 11th, we're bringing Kim Russo in.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're super excited. See how many spirits are floating around at Mount Airy Casino Resort.
Wow. I have ESPN at home. I have Deportes and ESPN too.
I wish I had ESP, but I do also have ESPN, which is good.
Well, you can go on MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problems, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so also, Nicole, tell us about, this is my first time on the premise, and as I pulled up here, I saw this beautiful golf course.
Yes.
Have you played on the golf course?
I have actually, amazingly enough, but it's amazing. So every one of the 18 holes is modeled after a hole from another famous golf course.
Oh.
So whether it be Augusta, it's designed by Hal Purdy. It's what we call it the champion of the Poconos. It's an extremely challenging course, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fast rolling greens and blind curves and bunkers.
It looks beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful sight.
And then I know we're going to dinner tonight, Chris. Where are we going to dinner tonight?
I don't know. I'm going home.
Oh, you're not going. Lee Alexander's going to stick around. Nicole, where are we going to dinner tonight?
You're going to Bistecca by El Molino. So it's our steakhouse. It's right across on the other side of the casino in the same building. And you are going to love it. I mean, they have everything. Start with appetizers and just make sure you leave room for dessert. They have some amazing things to try.
Okay. How's our pork chop? I love a good pork chop.
They're known for their steaks.
Steaks. All right. Well, we've been to the up in Hard Rock in Atlantic City, and it's the same, right? The same owner.
Yep.
So and that food is excellent. So I'm really looking forward to that. Chris, you sure you can't talk into it?
I can't stick around today. I got to get home for my daughter's band ensemble performance, her last as a high school senior.
Okay.
So we're getting ready for graduation.
Yeah, you can't miss anything there.
And stuff like
she's
that.
She's going to be off to college
Yeah.
soon. The other thing, too, Nicole, is that obviously it's basically one big giant sports bar because you've got TVs everywhere. We're in a little section in the poker room, and we already have, let's see, I guess we have access to about 10 TVs. And if the back screen wasn't behind us, we'd probably have about 30 TVs. So
yeah, it's a great spot. I mean, you can watch every game we have. We have the sports betting right here, and then poker room right below. So it's a great, comfortable spot. Our seating is ridiculously comfortable for like a sports book. You can kind of lounge out.
All right, so if you go up with a bet to the sports book and you say, I want to put a bundle on James Harden in Game 7, will they actually laugh out loud, or they'll probably take that bet?
Yeah. Well, they'll take the bet because James Harden's not playing anymore.
Well, in Game 7.
Oh, before Game 7.
Yeah.
You're going back in the past.
Yeah.
You're going on your medium mode.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm going.
All right.
I'm trying to get back to that question about James Harden and what other pro athletes you would put in that type of category where he's an MVP talent and was the scoring leader for the league a couple of times, but when it comes down to the big games, the playoffs, always seems to come up short. And even throughout the season, like there will be times where, oh man, he looks like he's an all-star, and then the next week is like, who is this guy? Like he.
Do you have a thought, or do you want me to give you one?
I would like yours.
You want mine? All right. So Nicole thinks that two people. She thinks that Lance Parrish, when he came to the Phillies, he was going to be a world beater. You know, we got our big star, and he just didn't pan out. Super guy, just didn't pan out.
Like, did he do anything for the Tigers before that? I mean, he
was like superstar. But more importantly, I think Nicole really is going to go with the guy that Barry Bonds, because Barry Bonds, obviously, when he was with Pittsburgh and the Giants, was a world beater, right? One of the best
MVP,
in the game.
Yeah.
One of the best ever to play the game. I mean, obviously, there's tainted with steroids, but same thing. He's still, even before the steroids, he was one of the best players in the games. And I'm going to give you why Nicole chose Barry Bonds, some of the stats, okay? His first year in the playoffs is 1990 with Pittsburgh. And he went 3 for 18 with no extra base hits. The 3 were singles. So 3 for 18.
That sounds like a James Harden shooting night.
It does, right? Because he had 8 points his last game, by the way, James Harden. All right, 1991, Pittsburgh's back in the playoffs. He has 27 at-bats. He has 4 hits, 1 extra base hit. It was a double. Okay, so he struggled there. 1992, Bonds played for Pittsburgh. He had 23 at-bats, had 6 hits, so he's stepping up a little bit, right? 1 double, 1 home run. Then he goes to the Giants, 1997, 12 at-bats. He goes 3 for 12, okay? And then he goes to 2000, and he has 17 at-bats with 3 hits. He had no home runs, 1 hit, 1 double. So at this point, after the end of the 2000 season, I think Bonds was seen as a guy who just can't get it done in the clutch. He's obviously one of the best players in the game, but he couldn't get it done. And then in 2002, he put the critics to shame because he had 45 at bats. He scored 18 runs. He had 16 hits. He had 2 doubles. He had 8 home runs, and he had 16 RBI. So does that fit the criteria, Chris? Because he had 5 bad playoff years, and then he had 1 outstanding playoff year.
The thing about, with sports, right, guys are up and down, and even with James Harden, I expect, he's going to have a great moment in a big spot, and, Barry Bonds did have his moment in the big spot. Like, even Mike Schmidt, when he was a Philly for years, seemed like had a reputation where he wasn't going to win the big games.
Right.
But then did turn it around.
But isn't Harden the opposite, though? Didn't Harden when he was with the Rockets, he never did anything in the playoffs?
No.
Is that right?
No. I mean,
Okay.
he had bad Game 7 performances, and they never won a championship.
I just know when the Sixers, his last game of the Sixer, as a Sixer, that was a Game 7, right?
And it was like an 8-point. It was like another disappointing.
And he had a bad game before, and we're hoping, all right, well, he already had his bad game. Now he's going to take over, and we're going to be good to go. And then he had another clunker.
2 guys I think of kind of in that kind of realm.
It's a good pick, Nicole.
NFL area.
Barry Bonds.
Phillip Rivers might be kind of in that cusp where he looks so good. He has all this talent, but when it comes to the big games into the postseason, Phillip Rivers has never been able to accomplish much at the NFL level.
Right.
Now, maybe that'll change. We'll see.
Peyton was that early in his career,
Right.
and then he turned it around.
But he got 2.
How about on a lesser level? How about Danny Tartabull? Danny Tartabull was a big player, not on anywhere near any of the players we just mentioned, but he played for the Yankees, played for a bunch of teams. He was on Seinfeld. Remember when George Costanza had to take Danny Tartabull to coming back from an appearance, and he's supposed to take him to the game.
Yeah, vaguely
and
remember that. Yeah.
He got stuck in traffic, and Danny Tartabull was late. I think that was it.
Sounds
anyway,
right.
Danny Tartabull signs with the Phillies, and to at the time it was $1 million deal, which is probably in today's equivalent of $10 million, right? And he had 7 at bats, and he fouled a ball off his foot and broke his foot and out for the whole year.
Hey,
so that's another category.
Before we get to the top of the hour and let Nicole go, why is the summer a really good time to come up and visit the Poconos? Everybody, John was talking about the skiing up here and stuff, but great stuff going on in the summer up here in the Pocono Mountains.
Yeah, so the Pocono Mountains is known for its outdoor adventure between whitewater rafting, kayaking, horseback riding, just hiking trails. Mount Airy Casino Resort, we have hiking trails right on property. They're nice, easy, level trails, so anybody can do them. Or golfing.
And you won't get lost in the woods.
You will not get lost in the woods. It's a loop. You will get back where you started from, so it's safe for anybody to take on.
Perfect.
So it's a great time.
Well, you have the fresh mountain air, right? I'm sure you probably have pickleball and tennis courts.
Of course.
Everybody has that.
Everybody's. We don't have them at the resort, but we have them in the Poconos.
But you don't have it with the mountain air in the background and the beautiful Pocono scenery.
Yeah, we have beautiful mountains. We have in the wildlife. I mean, there's a bald eagle's nest right on our golf course.
Any bears?
Yes, of course.
Oh yeah, no grizzlies though.
No, they're black bears. They're friendly.
I know how you feel about grizzly bears.
Can I tell you? Do we have time for another quick story on a bear? Or
no?
No. How about when we come back? I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's a good tease.
Yeah, but I think right now we got the top of the hour here, so we'll step aside, come back with more All In from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. Definitely thank you, Nicole. And more All In coming up on BCB.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental,
You guys want to play the news?
Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's
Gotcha.
Hoagie House,
I'll get you right
R&J
coming back right
Smoothies
after
and
this.
Juices, AutoZone,
Can you
and
give us
First
one more
National
spot?
Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make
Sure, not a
Dion
problem.
Square your one-stop
Thanks,
for all
Steve.
your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Coming back.
We now return to All In.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. Chris Ermer with John Brazer for All In on WBCB, talking Philly sports.
And Bears.
Yes.
Do you want my other bear story?
Please.
All right, so on my wife's 40th birthday, we went out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh, speaking of which, have you heard about the Utah Mammoth?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yep, the Mammoth.
There's so many bears.
And I get
the
that.
nicknames, the Cubs, the Bruins, the Bears, the Grizzly.
And that'd be a fun mascot. You can obviously, you'd have a lot of fun designing the mascot and the logo and right. But
With
I guess
the tusks and everything.
I guess the woolly mammoth was big in the Utah area.
I don't know.
Right.
That's like I think dinosaur, whatever, paleontologist
Right. Yes.
territory.
All right. Well, anyway, so I went to. again, on my wife's 40th, we went to a dude ranch, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. My wife grew up on horses, so she's she's the one who picked it.
A little horseback ride.
And so everyone got assigned to a horse, and you spent basically all morning on a horse, all afternoon on a horse, going out in the mountains. It was beautiful. So the first night, the cowboys said, all right, here's the deal. It's just, you guys are going to be cabins. You're out in the wilderness, and, we have a ranch here, and we have people. But you do not want to leave food on your porch, right? Because the bears will come up, and you don't want a curious bear on your porch. That's the story I was, So
That's good advice.
So I shared a cabin. There was like 3 rooms within one cabin, and my niece and nephew were probably like 10 and 12, and they stayed in the cabin. So I'm listening to this guy with intent because I'm one of those people that I probably wouldn't do a safari because I don't. It's hard to see what humans are going to do, more or less what animals are going to do, right, in the wild.
I mean, whenever you tell one of your stories, I'm always imagining that it's you with like a group of frat brothers.
No, this is my family.
Niece and nephew.
So
It's a wholesome group.
Yes. So I wake up the next morning. I'm the first one up. I'm always an early riser, and let's say it's 7 in the morning, whatever, and I get my coffee, and I go out on the porch to get my coffee, and I see literally a empty bag of or a half-eaten bag of potato chips on the porch. That was obviously either the 10-year-old or the 12-year-old. Well, I am furious, right? And everyone's still sleeping. And when everyone wakes up, I raise, I was mad. And I said, the cowboy said, blah, 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 we can't do that. Do you want a bear on your porch? Do you want a bear coming into the cabin? Do you want a bear attacking you? This is life or death. Do not. So I made a big scene, right? My brother-in-law the next day, I go to bed. He waits till I fall asleep, go to bed. And he took wheat thins, and he from the outside of the cabin, he taped wheat thins going from the bottom of the cabin all the way to my window, and he had a sign that said, "Dear Bear, yummy bear snacks," with an arrow pointing through my window where I'm right below. And so I saw that, the next morning, and then next thing you know, I'm giving him a lecture. And so to this day, my family always gives me, they think I'm scared of bears. I'm not just scared of bears.
I think you might be.
I'm realistic about bears. And so, I've gotten a million bear mugs, bear shirts, bear paraphernalia.
Have you ever run into a bear?
Have not run into a bear. I do have friends that live in Charlottesville, Virginia, that live in the woods, and they have a bear that visits their trash can every so often. And we've stayed at that house a bunch of times, but I still have not seen a bear, nor would I want to see a bear.
Typically, when you run into the bear runs away.
Right.
So that's...
Yes. Well, you just have to be faster than the person who's next to you. And,
no,
right?
the bear runs away.
Well, I know.
The bear doesn't chase you.
Right. But if we had to run, you go in the same direction as the person who's slower.
That's the old joke, the basketball team and the wrestling team or whatever. The wrestling guys would always they were faster than the basketball guys.
Right.
So the basketball guys would get eaten by the bear. No.
No. I don't know. No. All right, but you never asked me about the wilderness of the Sixers. Now the Flyers, I do feel they have a plan, because what I didn't like about the old Flyers is that the Flyers would be mediocre and they would get these guys that had big names, but they were past their prime, and they just kept. They were on the George Jetson, the treadmill.
Right.
They just kept doing it over and over. I do like the fact that they've got some young talent, and they're really trying to, they're building it. And then it's, again, as I said before, they will get a free agent. They've got this draft is huge this year, but I think they're heading to the right direction.
All right,
the Sixers are the ones that scare me, because I'm a fan of all the sports, and we've made so many throughout the years. I know we have different general managers, but name all these different, from Keith Van Horn to trades we've made to. You can literally name almost every draft pick, other than
it's Michael Carter Williams was one of the guys, and
a million. Jahlil Okafor, you got then Markelle Fultz, and you just go. Embiid fell to us because of the injuries, and we've got a lot of good out of Embiid, but also just obviously we've seen the bad part of the injuries side. But again, it's almost like the Sixers have been just cursed. When we have great draft picks, we've had the first pick in the draft, second pick in the draft. We've got it right a couple times. Allen Iverson certainly got it right. but we've just also got it wrong a lot, and especially recently. Now, the Tyrese Maxey one that's the one that good teams find, right? And
I guess, people have all this love for Tyrese Maxey, and a good NBA player, but even this season, he was in and out.
I still have faith in him, and I think McCain, when he comes back, could be a good player. You know what they need? I mean, they need that Cooper Flag. They need someone in the front court because I think they're okay in the back court.
Yeah, but the process now has come full circle.
Right.
And the Sixers basically are back in the position where they're not good and they're not bad enough to get good.
Yeah. And they've got to do something with Paul George because, I'm not sure that was the right answer last year, to get Paul George. I think they're trying to go all in. And Paul George, injury-prone, older, does he have enough in the tank? What do you do with Embiid? I mean, you re-upped Embiid, so you're kind of stuck with him unless someone wants to take on the risk of an injury-prone big guy.
It seems like it's coming down to the luck of the draw. Can we get a top draft pick? Because that would change everything.
It would.
But are those ping pong balls going to fall your way? I just see so many missed opportunities. Like you're saying, you go down the list of all the guys that they picked at the top of the draft, and some of that has to be some player development stuff. I mean, with the Phillies, right, you have a lot of young players, sometimes guys right out of high school, and there's a responsibility for the team that drafts those guys to figure out how they can work, how they can improve.
Drafting and player development are equal in their importance. You have to draft someone, see the upside in somebody, and then you need the coaches and the people to mold that player to that upside, right?
Yeah.
So they're equally important. So I'm not sure I don't know whether we're picking the wrong guys and then trying to develop them you can, or whether we're picking the right guys and we're just not developing. I mean, in basketball, the NBA, you really don't have the college basketball is the developmental system, right? Because the guys go right from college right to the pros. Whereas baseball, you need your development. I mean, it's a tough science because you need to draft. You're drafting kids, or in the international end, you're signing kids at 16. You have no idea what they're going to be at 16 years old. What they're going to be as a 24-year-old, right? The college players are drafted are 20, 21, and same thing. They can develop, and so it's really important to both sides. It's important to kind of draft and be able to project those guys, and then it's important to kind of teach them and develop them as they're in the system.
Well, this is another topic that I'm glad that you are here instead of Paul Jalovitz, because his opinion on Daryl Morey could not be more sour, and certainly good reason for that sentiment around this team. But I don't know, like the thing about James Harden, right, just to circle back to that, right? You see his talent. I'm always expecting at some point he's going to be able to have the good game in the big moment, and it just never works out for him. And that's a weird thing about sports, where a guy is talented and yet you expect him.
You want them to perform in the big moments, and you're hoping, and they've shown you that they can do it.
Yes.
And then when they don't do it, you're so disappointed as a Philadelphia fan.
And, some people will say, oh, well, then they can't do it in those big moments.
Right.
And I always say, well, with another opportunity, we've seen games where these players can take over.
Well, look at Barry Bonds. Again, Barry Bonds struggled for 5 postseasons, and then he had an unbelievable postseason. Mike Schmidt struggled in the beginning of his postseasons, and then he poured it on. So
all right, so if the Flyers are lost in the wilderness, I feel like the Sixers are more like the TV show Lost.
I think they're
Remember that TV show?
I think they're trying to get to the wilderness.
All this weird stuff would happen. Next thing you know, they're popping open a bunker and going down in the bottom. Like it's inexplicable that you've had all of this talent. You have such a great storyline, and then, again, I don't know where this plot is going.
And you would think, too, that of all the sports, basketball should be the easiest to turn around based on the sheer numbers. I mean, you look at hockey, you need a goalie, you need at least 6 defensemen, you need at least 12 lines, four lines, right? Football, you need a quarterback, you need obviously all the there's so many positions you got to fill.
Hoops, you need 5 guys.
Hoops, yeah. Baseball, you have starting pitcher, bullpen. There's so many moving parts.
Yeah.
Basketball, 5 guys, and you draft someone like a LeBron James in his peak right, then you're going to win championships. If you draft a Shaq, you're going to win championships. You draft, a Kobe, you're going to win championships. Magic Johnson, you're going to win championships. It can take that 1, 2, 3 guys to spark it. So you would think that turnaround should be, it should be the easiest to get to. But you're right. It feels like they're on a treadmill where they just can't. They keep making bad decisions. They kept guys that are injury prone. They have flashes, but they can't pull it all together.
Man, I'm just the optimist. And even going into this year, you look at Embiid and Maxey in there and the free agent moves that they're able to add to the mix. And I thought, yeah, maybe it could work out. I'm starting to lose hope, but I still am pinning some type of possible glory on Joel Embiid. And I'm hoping that whatever, he's going through a surgery and he's got some medical stuff going on. So if he can get back 100 and I don't know, even as I say it out loud, it seems like
Are you Charlie Brown kicking the football?
Yes.
And the Sixers are Lucy holding the football?
I mean, I was going to bring that up with James Harden, that he's like that same kind of, you build up these expectations and you get up to Game 7 and you go, whoop.
Well, who knows? Maybe again, the Sixers get Cooper Flagg, right? And let's say they find a suitor for Paul George, right? And then you get a healthy Embiid, somehow you say he's healthy. It can happen, right? Or even if you don't get Cooper Flagg, if you get Harper's kid, not Bryce Harper, Ron Harper's kid, right, out of Rutgers, and I think it's Dylan, and you get add him to the mix. They've got to do some trades or drafting that's going to get him out of this rut. They got it. Things have to start going the right way, not going the opposite way.
They need to have Embiid healthy. How that happens?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
Maybe they should hire Howie Roseman, right? Have Howie Roseman.
Is he a healer?
Well, he's done pretty good with the. And the good news about Howie is that Howie will make mistakes, right? He's made some mistakes on, Huff, right? This last year, he made the mistake on not drafting Justin Jefferson. But Howie, the beauty of Howie is that he's not scared to take risks and take chances, and he makes up for those mistakes and makes brilliant moves like the Zach Bonds and others of the world that are drafting. Look how many people hated when we drafted our quarterback, Jalen, and then next thing you know, everyone's like, why are they drafting Jalen? They got Carson Wentz, and next thing you know, he leads to the Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls. So.
All right, well, we're going to have Ben Jones joining us. I want to talk more about the Birds and how good it is right now to be an Eagles fan. And, we're going to keep on doing that sports talk thing all in from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. Chris Ermer with John Brazer, and we will be joined by the CEO of BCWSA, Ben Jones, with us in just a little bit as we continue to chit-chat and maybe do a little gaming, enjoying everything here at the Mount Airy Casino. We'll be right back with more on BCB.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
In your journey back to work, we understand the barriers you may face. We have a solution to bridge that gap. No matter your background, PA CareerLink staff are here to provide personalized assistance and help you thrive. Take the first step towards a new chapter in your career journey with PA CareerLink. Visit pacareerlink.pa.gov or your local PA CareerLink office today.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Album Sides is back on BCB. Join us weekday mornings at 11 for Album Sides. We've got great music. Gonna spin some of the best albums of all time. It's Album Sides with yours truly, the philosopher Chris Ermer. Weekday mornings at 11 right here on 107.3 FM and 1490 WBCB. You can also listen live at WBCB1490.com.
We now return to All In.
Yeah, we are all in from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. Chris Ermer with John Brazer. And John, tell us a little bit more about the Mount Airy Casino. Great to be here today. Beautiful day and a beautiful spot to do our thing.
Well, if you're looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer, then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. For all you craps enthusiasts, get ready to roll. All summer long, experience 10 times odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. And for the blackjack players out there like Lee Alexander, we've got your weekdays covered. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. And don't miss out on your chance to win your share of $25,000 in free slot money on June 28th at our Jumpin' Jackpot Party. It's going to be an electrifying night you won't want to miss. Enjoy incredible gaming excitement all summer long at Mount Airy Casino Resort. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just looking for some thrilling fun, we've got something for everyone. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryGaming.com. We'll see you at the tables and the slots. All guests must be 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And helping to power our visit here to the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa, BCWSA. We thank them. And joining us now, the CEO of BCWSA, Ben Jones. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Love being here, as always.
We're having you on the same day that Pope Leo XIV was announced. How about that?
That is pretty incredible.
Right?
How about that?
And he's from Philly.
Yeah.
Well, he's not from Philly. He went to school in Philly.
And that's fitting because that's Philly. Okay, he went to school in Philly, and I grew up here. So there's
That's
some
right.
synergy.
Up here,
How
there's
about
some
that?
synergies here.
Yeah.
Hey, John, do you know how the Pope got his name, Paul Owens, for the Phillies? Where'd that come from?
I don't know. It's a good question. The Pope was, oh my God,
He was like the pontiff of the
Phillies.
Phillies.
He was so old school. He was the best because I got to work with Pope for at least a couple years. I can't remember. He must have died like in 97, 98. I started in 94. But the Pope was one of those old school GMs. You know, this is back before computers, back before analytics. And these guys would make trades in the bar, right? They'd be sitting in the bar in maybe the winter meetings with the Cardinals GM, and they'd have a couple cocktails and say, all right, I'll give you this for that. All right, put it down on a piece of paper, and it's official. And they'd write the trade on a napkin, and they'd have like this napkin in their pocket, right? And then I think there was one time where Pope I think was overserved, and he made a trade with somebody from, let's say, the Cardinals. And the Cardinals guy calls up in the morning. He's like, I didn't make that trade. You did. You wrote it down on a napkin. Well, where is it? I have it. Well, that's not official. We didn't make that trade. There's no way I would have made that trade. Right? So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, it sounds like a heck of a lot better way to do trades.
Right.
I mean, think about that. I mean, you're just hanging out there, and your word is on a napkin.
Right.
It's official.
Yeah, it's the Pope was the best, and he's also the one that this is, I guess, a little politically incorrect, but if you go up to the ballpark, Baycare Ballpark, at the spring training, if you go up in the, as Ben, you know, because you've been part of our broadcast, spring training broadcast, you walk up the stairs, you know, as you're going to the top level of the press box, and then you walk through that outside area where that's usually where we kind of sometimes sit out and watch the game, and there's a sign that says Whale Beach.
Yes, it is.
And people always ask, well, why is that? What's that sign? What's the deal with that? Well, that's where a lot of the writers, especially at Jack Russell and this new one, the writers that weren't doing the everyday stories, right? So the features writers, guys that were there to kind of do a longer story or a profile on a certain player, guys that weren't doing the game story. The game story are guys that are inside on the computer, you know, banging out the game during the whole, you know, banging out their story during the whole game. It's more the feature writers like the Bill Conlins of the world and Stan Hockmans and all that.
So like those guys have like one too many Twinkie or something?
Well, back in the day, those writers weren't exactly in the best of shape. You know, not like, well, I don't even know about today. But back, you know, I guess Paul Owens walked up into the outside press box. He said, my gosh, what is this, Whale Beach? Looking at all those guys. And next thing you know, people started laughing. And then they got a sign at Jack Russell right where those guys sat. It said Whale Beach. And we carried that sign over to the ballpark, Baycare Ballpark.
Yeah, it seems somewhat inappropriate, but
well, yes,
somewhat fun.
For the time.
For the time,
it was very appropriate.
Good
Plus,
times.
they used to take their shirts off, right? They used to sun out there in very, white shirts.
Yeah, you don't want to see those guys with their shirt off.
Yeah.
We're talking about the warmer weather. Summer is coming up here, and golfing at the Mount Airy Resort and Casino. What about warmer weather as far as BCWSA is concerned? Any challenges for the authority? Ends up typically being a time of year where maybe we get some more storms that can pop up on us.
Yeah, well, actually, the whole region, and I'm not only just southeastern, but also northeastern and central Pennsylvania are all still under a drought. I know that's hard to believe, but it's true. And one of the problems with that is, especially in this midsection, all the way up through Stroudsburg and so forth, coming up this way, they're pretty dependent upon groundwater in many respects. So they need that water, okay? Obviously, it needs to percolate down. They did have some meaningful snow that helped a little bit. But again, last year really was very, very significant drought. We, in our reservoir that we own, which is Peace Valley Lake in the Chalfont, New Britain area, that was actually down almost 4 to 5 feet. And was the entire shoreline was exposed, and that's a lot because we have 1.8 billion gallons of water in there, and that was a substantial amount of water that was actually reduced. So the challenge is obviously you want water, you don't want too much, and you don't want it all at once because on both sides of our business that becomes an issue, and of course. Sanitary side, infiltration and inflow and things of that nature causes problems that are, a balance for us. So that's one of the more significant issues for us, for sure. At this point, having the additional water is a good thing for us. Again, we have enough supplies. In fact, the Southeast has gotten a lot more water than either Central or Northeast. So the only problem with that is obviously up here is where the Delaware actually starts. So, tributary to that, of course, is important. So, yeah, those are some
Ben, what is your? We'll switch gears to the Phillies, if that's all right, Chris.
Okay.
What is your biggest surprise?
I want to talk about water. I'm wondering if these water guys do a trade. Like you were talking about the Phillies doing a trade, writing it on a napkin. Like, Do you guys ever have to trade water with another authority?
That's a good question right there.
Actually, we do have interconnection agreements in place so that folks obviously are already secured with water. We have 2 active and 2 inactive agreements that we utilize. Active agreements for one of our principal supplies, and that is actually with North Penn, North Wales. And of course, that's where we get our water from. We're the other partner in that entity. And then ultimately, Lower Bucks is one of the other ones, and the other 2 are interconnects with Aqua, of course, which is also a competitor, as well as the City of Philadelphia. The City of Philadelphia is relatively inactive at this time, but again, when we decided to actually interconnect those systems, we had a benefit coming from the other end because we didn't have to pump our water up. We actually start on the upper end of the county and then allow the water to come down, and we don't end up spending a lot of money in electricity and things of that nature. So yeah, so that's a pretty cool thing.
So I mean, is that just like the the gravity
Yeah.
allows that kind of like
Absolutely.
the way it flows?
Yeah, otherwise you have to pump it up. If you look at it from the city of Philadelphia, actually, the best example of that is if you're in Plymouth meeting and you're actually looking out, you can actually see the top of the Comcast Center ever so slightly above the building. And it shows you how much elevation differential there is between the city, okay, and, of course, Montgomery County in that portion, and also Bucks County is similar. You can do the same thing in Chalfont, New Britain, and look over and see the city from that distance. So there's a tremendous amount of that, and, of course, that saves a lot of electricity because you're not pumping it up into a pipe, a standpipe, and actually holding that water then to send it back down. So you're pumping it twice, in essence. And in this case, you're actually generating energy by sending it down, and you can recover that energy and save a tremendous amount. Plus, you also don't have to rely on it if the power goes out, emergency generation, or anything of that nature. So.
All right, let's switch to baseball.
You want to go back to baseball? Well, let's go back to baseball.
I love talking water.
I like baseball. I love talking
and
baseball.
I don't even say water. Do you say water or do you say water?
I mix it up.
You mix it up?
It's
you
water.
never know.
It's water.
All
Up here.
right.
It's water up here, by the way.
So
Yeah.
well, let's talk. We were talking Sixers. That was, we were talking being lost in the wilderness. I think the Flyers are. I'm a big hockey guy, and I think the Flyers are in the right direction. They've got a lot of draft picks. This year is going to be very big as far as what direction tone they set. And they need to get out of the goalie conundrum because they just can't. They're in that Spinal Tap / drummer or Grateful Dead keyboardist mode where goalie for the Flyers isn't that same, you don't want to be a goalie for the Flyers because something bad's going to happen.
I think you're in more of the medium mode, like seeing the spirits, because I feel like you're seeing things that aren't there with this Flyers team.
I don't know. I have faith. I do. I have faith in Danny Briere and Keith Jones.
All I'm sitting here is I want to start off with baseball. We went right to the Flyers
Phillies,
and we went to the 76ers.
I'm getting to the Phillies,
confused.
and the Eagles are fine. Obviously, they win a Super Bowl. They had a good draft, and they re-signed Goddard, so we're good to go there.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Phillies, what has been your biggest surprise for you, Ben, as a fan? You were down in spring training.
I was.
What's been your biggest surprise, good or bad?
Both. I mean, first off, it's great to see Schwarber hitting again and being. But one of the things.
June. Usually it's June. He's hitting season.
One of the things I think is important, though, is last night's game was a great example. It wasn't about just a series of home runs. It was about actually getting on base. It was about playing the game of baseball. I'm sorry. That's what it is.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to get into the later part of the season and everything else, that's how you have to win the games. I mean, you know that better than anybody else. Since '94, right, with the Phillies. Incidentally, that's when I started BCWSA.
Is that right? Okay.
Same year.
Yeah.
Something there, I'm telling you. But anyway,
you probably
get
have
back
a
to the other one. Better pension? No, probably you do. But in any event, I think that's one of the things that's been pleasant as a surprise. Trey Turner obviously has been tremendous.
What I like about Turner is that he's been, just as you said, playing baseball where he's not trying to hit jack home runs. Right. He's actually hitting the ball the other way and getting on base and taking walks.
Yeah. And on the flip side, Bohm obviously was a big surprise that was a very long dry spell, but he's broken that, so we're good.
How about Luzardo? Luzardo's a big surprise. I mean, I think we all knew that Luzardo was a good pitcher of all the time the Phillies have faced the Marlins and seen what he's done to us. And he's coming off an injury, and we were talking about in spring training. But man, he's been a find.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, really, in terms of the Phillies, everybody's they lost. You know what? It's early. There's a lot of baseball, obvious at this point. But I like seeing the change and the transition at this point. The lineup is good. You've got some inconsistencies, and that's bound to happen. But it's not all happening simultaneously, and that's important, obviously.
And you know what I like too is I like all this talk on talk radio everywhere, in the papers. What was the big topic the first 3 weeks of the season? First 4 weeks, it was the lineup. Who's leading off? Is Schwarber going to be hitting leadoff? Is he going to be hitting cleanup? Is Turner? Why? How are they going to do a two different people, one against lefty, one against righty? Well, it's looked like for the most part, unless it's a lefty pitcher, I love and he's always been always had the makings of a good leadoff hitter, Stott, because Stott sees tons of pitches. If you remember that 94 team, that whole team took tons of pitches. But Lenny especially, when Lenny let off the game, or he just, and it gives the other batters a chance to see what the guy's got. It tires him out. And this Tampa series has been great of that, and that the Phillies batters have worn out the starters. They're deep. They had to go to the bullpen, early because they're taking a lot of pitches and they're playing small ball. They are working counts. It's good to see.
And Tampa's not a bad team. As I recall, they just played a series with the Yankees and they beat them.
Right. They're no joke.
That's exactly right. I mean, and they weren't back in the day when we had to play them either, by the way,
right,
in the World Series. So
the one guy I would like to see more out of is Max Kepler.
He's got his spurts,
and maybe with a new team, he's trying to feel his way in and everything. But for one of the main acquisitions that they have, I feel like if he can really pick up the pace, then that could be a big motivator for the whole lineup.
He's a big dude. He's got big power.
And Rojas is also coming along nicely.
He is coming. He had a nice suicide squeeze the other day.
Yeah.
All right,
safety squeeze.
We are due for a break. Ben, if you don't mind sticking around, I would love to talk a little bit of Eagles football.
Okay.
Everything looking great with the Birds right now. Yeah, so we haven't really gotten to that on the show quite yet. And just to look at the rosy picture that's surround the aura right now that is surrounding this Philadelphia Eagles team kind of reminds me back when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008 and then the 2009, 2010, knowing that this franchise, knowing that your team is the best team in the sport. And that's the way I feel right now with the Eagles. I don't think I've ever felt that way in my entire life as an Eagles fan quite as confidently as I do right now. We'll come back, talk more about that here in just a bit on All In on WBCB.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Are you a parrot head? Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
The Gator, Jerry Blavitt here, reminding you that for all of your fresh baked breads, rolls, pastries, holiday cakes, and much more, you've got to visit the Italian People's Bakery in Levittown at 1142 Woodburn at Oxford Valley Road, and in Trenton at 63 Butler Street in the Chambersburg section, where everything is baked fresh on the premises. The Italian People Bakery and Deli has been the pride of Chambersburg since 1936, and their Butler Street store also has the deli department, featuring their famous hoagies, plus meats, vegetable, and fruit trays for any occasion. That's the Italian People's Bakery and Deli, the pride of the burg since 1936, and also they are located in Morrisville at 317 West Trenton Avenue. And tell them the Gator sent you.
We now return to All In.
Welcome back to the show. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Head on out to the Mount Airy Casino and Resort. That's where we are doing our thing today. Chris Ermer with John Brazer. The gaming action hotter than the sun here at the Mount Airy Lodge. And we'll see you at the tables, at the slots. All guests must be 21 years of age. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And as John was saying, they got all the 10 times odds on craps at Mount Airy, and 10 times the excitement, 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. And for the blackjack players out there, they got your weekdays covered. $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8. I love that. A $5 blackjack table, that's...
and Chris, don't miss out on your chance to win your share of $25,000 in free slot play on June 28th at our Jumpin' Jackpot Party. It's going to be an electrifying night you don't want to miss. Enjoy incredible gaming excitement all summer long. Mount Airy Casino Resort, whether you're a seasoned pro or just looking for some thrilling fun, we've got something for everyone. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. We'll see you at the tables and the slots, maybe even tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe not you.
Well, I'm like a penny slots guy and a $5 blackjack guy.
All right.
Probably me, though.
Yeah.
Probably Ben. Ben, what's your game?
I actually do blackjack, but I do love slots, too, because it's kind of mindless. After you play blackjack for a little while, then, you're back and forth. Do
you ever do craps?
You know what? No, I don't anymore. I had a buddy years ago that actually used to go down and say, hey, we're going to do some craps. He says, I'll teach you how to play and everything else. So we all chipped in, and he lost the money, and I never really learned to play.
It is fun because the fun part about craps is that you're almost on a team. You know what I mean?
Right.
The pass and no pass, and you're rooting for the roller or you're rooting against the roller, but if you're doing the roller, you usually get like 8 people that are really excited and everyone's getting behind the guy unless he starts crapping out.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
It's roll the dice right there.
It's a roll of the dice.
Exactly. Kind of like when you go to the White House after you win the Super Bowl. The Eagles are so good that they even managed to go through that experience without really kicking up any controversy. I mean, Jalen didn't go for the visit, but that seemed like everybody just kind of said, okay, that's his option, and didn't want to participate. And right now, they are untouchable as far as these little things. Then they bring Goddard back. Like, even the offseason right now feels like a winner.
Now, I got to say, for opening day, we had Saquon Barkley and BG throughout the first pitch. And they got there about an hour and a half before the game, and we sat in I got him down into the green room, and we were all hanging in there. And it was funny. Kane Callis, Harry Callis' son, who always sings the national anthem on opening day. He came into the green room. I introduced Kane to Saquon and BG and Big Dom and everybody else. And I said, hey, this is Kane Callis. He's singing the national anthem today. His dad was the famous Phillies announcer, Harry Callis. And I said, he's also a professional gambler. and they started both BG and Saquon were asking, so what do you rank in the world? And he was, Kane was very humble, was telling him his stats. That's where he makes his living.
Wow.
He does World Series of poker, and he's really good.
No kidding.
And
so he's a great singer and poker player.
And he's a very good bowler too.
All
so
right, now
bowling,
that's not a sport.
Singing, and gambling.
During one of the shows that we were setting up for, I feel like you told a story. I'm not sure if you were at liberty to pass this along. It might have been from somebody else, but it was around Saquon celebrating after the victory.
Yeah, I'm not.
And doing a little blackjack.
Yeah, put it this way. He again, I don't know how much public he went, but he. I
mean, that story seemed almost too good to be true.
I know, it really was. Well, the bottom line is without getting into details, he golfed at a local course, and someone hit a hole-in-one, and he had made a promise, and they all celebrated together and on Saquon's dime, and everyone had literally the night of their life, and they came back early in the morning, and some people were richer, some people were poorer.
And some of that story revolving around a blackjack experience, or a roulette experience.
Yeah, so.
And lucky number 28.
Was there a cigar in there?
26.
Too?
26? Is that? Oh, sorry.
Was there a cigar in there as well?
I'm not sure. I don't know that part of the story. But no, and so going back to the opening day, Saquon and BG. I mean, I've met BG many times because he's throughout the first pitch during the World Series. That's part of it. That, Howie, when getting guys, I'm sure he looks at the character of these guys and think about all the character of the guys that are the leaders. You had Jason Kelce up until this year. Jason Kelce, one of the greatest guys, as you can tell by everything he's doing, post-career. BG, same thing. If anybody has a bad word to say about BG, but the guy's also nicest guy in the world, but fierce on the football field, right? Then you get Saquon now, the new leader, Jalen. There's a reason why they're successful. One, they got tons of talent, but two, they're also, I think they have chemistry, and you need chemistry when you're playing a long season, baseball, football, whatever it is. If you have bad guys as your leaders, it's going to manifest itself on the field or on the court or on the ice.
He's not a perfect example, but a tone setter, and not a vocal guy, but Mailata is certainly a leader on this team.
And he brings the energy. He brings fun energy.
And then has that chemistry on the offensive line. I mean, you talk about a team that is you're feeling good about a team as a fan. I want to feel good about the trenches. And this team, I feel really good about the offensive and defensive line coming into this next season.
Well, and I think it also helps when you have Jeff Stoutland as your offensive coach, who is known as the best offensive coach that can turn guys into stars, right? And look what he's done to the, with all the different guys we've had, on that line. You had one guy who's a quarterback, tight end in college, in Lane Johnson, and he turned him into, an all-pro tackle. And then you have Jordan Mailata, who is a rugby player and never played football in his life.
Right.
Turns him into an all-pro, tackle. And then you've got.
Have you ever played rugby?
No. Well, and then when you watch him too, you watch tape.
Oh,
you watch tape of Jordan Mailata with the ball. I remember when they not drafted him, but when they signed him, I guess they did draft. They had to draft him, right?
Who's that? Mailata?
Jordan Mailata, or they just signed him?
He was 7th round pick.
All right, so they drafted him. When they drafted him, I really thought it was going to be more of a gimmick, like a fridge type situation where when you see the guy running. In rugby, he's literally knocking people over, smaller guys. He's just sticking his arm out, running fast, big, strong. I thought he was going to be more of a athletic fridge, in those goal situations. Yeah. And next thing you know, I'm like, well, he probably won't make it as an offensive lineman, but they can get good use out of him. Well, next thing you know, he goes to Jeff Stoutland school, and Jeff Stoutland turns him into, again, one of the best in the game. And now I'm wondering whether if the tush push goes away, which – unfortunately, I think it will, because I think the league are cowards, and they just, instead of just fighting, I don't. The argument that someone's going to get hurt. Come on.
Well, you know what?
Quarterback sneaks to get hurt.
That's right. It's part of the game, and the reality is, if that's the case, then you shouldn't have the quarterback with the ability to actually run at all.
Yeah, you should ban
He's
quarterbacks.
got to stay in there.
Right.
So, I mean, and then that takes something away from the game. But if you're going to play football, there's always the risk, obviously, of getting hurt, and it happens every day. And one play isn't going to change that.
And also, I don't think there's really any data that backs up any injury-related issues
Scientific data
with this tush-push play.
So what's going to happen?
I think they crunched numbers when it came to kickoffs, and they said, hey, this is a situation
That's
where we're
always
seeing
been called
guys get hurt. This is a big problem. Let's change this up. There's really no data that would say, hey, the tush-push is an issue.
Here's what's going to happen. So they're going to, for that 1 yard line or in, they're going to substitute Mulata for somebody on the line, right? And then they're going to put Mulata as the tailback, and Mulata's going to be like the short yardage guy, right?
You've
and
heard
then
it here.
Then they're going to ban, then next year, 2026 summer, they're going to ban offensive linemen from being in the backfield, right? Because the Eagles have an unfair advantage.
That's how good we are right now.
That's how good we are. They're making rules to try to stunt the progress of the Eagles.
Well, it is significant. I mean, if you really think about it, it's not like it's a difficult play to analyze. It should be something that they should be able to do it. And obviously, Washington took a really stupid stab at that way, jumping over the line constantly. Right. But
the Bills should be good at it with Josh Allen. Josh Allen's bigger than Jalen Hurts. He might not be as strong in the lower.
Well, he doesn't have the leg strength.
Body,
for
right?
Sure. But other than that, he definitely.
Other teams
guy.
have to figure out how to make it work for them.
But that's the point. My point is that even though that's not a very difficult thing, you'd be able to break it down and so forth. Nobody's been able to actually stop it. And you know what? That's frustrated people. Well, that's part of the game.
It's part of the game. You find it. Again.
Well, we got to break it down. Step aside here in just a little bit. Take a quick break on BCB. And as we do that, Ben, before we let you go, you look at the Eagles and the leadership and all that stuff. As the CEO of BCWSA, where do you see the leadership or kind of the chemistry on this team? It's about managing people and talents, and it seems like right now that is in perfect harmony.
Well, you guys touched on it earlier. I mean, you've got some quality people. Leadership obviously is very important, and people follow good leaders. And in order to have a good leader, you have to have quality character. And these guys have good character, whether it be Mulata, Saquon. I mean, he's just a gentleman. He's just incredible. He really is. He's an amazing leader. He's certainly an amazing athlete. I've been a fan. Oh my gosh, all the way back into Penn State, watching him and seeing what he was doing. I was heartbroken when he went to the Giants, and not going to the Eagles, but of course that was a given at that particular time. And Jalen Hurts, again, very quiet guy, but a good leader. And again, I think he showed that obviously in the Super Bowl and through the playoffs.
So I think character things you look for in your people.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't bring in people to be leaders unless they have character and that they're willing to make sacrifices for the team, not just for themselves. They're not going to make business decisions. They're going to make the right decisions, and they're going to sponsor and help people and mentor people, and I think that's what you have with this squad for sure.
Feeling
and,
good.
It started off with Kelsey and those folks and their molding together to work together and do things in the community, which was wonderful as well.
But you need management like Ben Jones, like the Lee Alexander, like the Vic Fangios, right? Like the Nick. And they actually have a great, talked about Jeff Stoutland. They're lucky to have the best offensive line coach in the game.
I think Big Dom is running the whole thing.
Well, they got Vic Fangio, who did an outstanding job as defense, right? They've got Nick Sirianni's in a perfect role where he is, he is that rah-rah leader that everyone, he's the guy that pumps everyone up and oversees everything, right? Instead of the coach that is calling the plays or meddling, right? He's kind of just overseeing those guys and making sure they're in the right direction. And again, it's making sure that everyone's pulling the rope the same way. So it's kind of they're in a good way. And you think about all the young players they have with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean and some of these young guys that we're going to have for a long time. Just signed Zach Bond, other guy. I mean, it's just and some of the guys we got in the draft. I mean, hopefully this Jihad, what's his last name? The draft pick, Jihad Campbell. I know he's got some injury issues, but
thank you, Lee.
If he didn't have the injury issues, he would have been probably a top 10 pick. So maybe that's another steal that Howie got.
That's our Lee Alexander. He's always got the details.
Always injured?
Yeah. Always injured.
He's always got the last name.
He always comes to work, even injured.
There you go.
All right, we got to step aside one more time here in the 3 o'clock hour. And in the 4 o'clock hour, going to be joined by Dickie Noles a little bit later on here from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. He is on his way. And we'll be back talking Phillies sports, mixing it up here on WBCB.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pantheon Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at pantheonbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
We now return to All In.
Welcome back to the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. Phillies tonight looking for a sweep at Steinbrenner Field. John, I heard they had to change like 3,000 signs within Steinbrenner Field to wipe away all of the Yankee stuff and get ready for Tampa Bay.
Right.
And I was wondering, like, could you imagine what that would be like at Citizens Bank Park to try to cover up all of the things that say it's probably everywhere.
Right. Well, yeah, Baycare Ballpark would be the analogy. But yes, we'd have to get rid of all the Phillies logos and all that.
Yeah.
Huge undertaking. And the A's are doing the same thing, where the A's are playing in Sacramento, and they don't want to be.
Are the A's still around? The A's are still.
Well, they're the A's. They're trying not to be the Sacramento A's. They want to be the A's. So they've been doing a lot of scrubbing also in that minor league park in Sacramento.
Yeah, the best A's days were in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia A's, right? But there's a lineup today, Chris. Do you want to know the lineup for the sweep, potential sweep of the Tampa Rays? And again, they're not a joke. They're they're probably not. They're not as strong as they might have been in the past, but they're no joke. We actually just took on their two big pitchers. So tonight we've got Stott leading off. We have.
Hey, just to circle back to that whole leading off thing, you brought it up a little bit earlier. I just think that's kind of a thing for the fans to mull over.
Right.
You hear so many baseball guys remind everybody, that leadoff guy only leads off
one
inning,
time. Yep.
And everybody has to have a leadoff mentality when you are a leadoff guy in an inning. But I don't disagree with you. Like Stott is doing a good job.
I'm fine. Honestly, I'm fine with any of the lineups because I do like Schwarber when he leads off because it just if he does hit a home run, which he hits a lot of leadoff home runs.
Yeah.
It just sets the tone and it throws off the pitcher. The pitcher's trying to get strikes over in the beginning of the game, or if he takes a walk, then all of a sudden again you start the rally. But I think Stott is so good because he's a great two-strike batter, so he can foul off like the best of them. He sees a lot of pitches, allows other guys to see a lot of pitches, and then that's how you get into their bullpen.
All right, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's okay. So Stott is leading off, playing second base. Trey Turner batting second. Harper batting third. Schwarber batting cleanup, playing left field. Castellanos is DHing. If my eyesight is, yes, it is right. Kepler, how about this one? Kepler is playing right field because, again, Schwarber's playing left field. Real Muto is catching, so his foot injury is fine. Remember, he left at the seventh inning last night with a bruised foot, so he's back in the lineup. Good sign.
He's a tough guy.
Very tough guy. Bohm batting eighth, playing third, and Marsh is in center field. So that is Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, Kepler, Real Muto, Bohm, Marsh. And the guy I was telling you about who's been very unbelievable, Luzardo. Jesus Luzardo is pitching tonight. Jesus Luzardo has been a find. I mean, we all knew about him. But he is 3-0 with a 1.94 ERA, a 1.18 WHIP, and he is facing a pitcher, Ryan Pepiot. Looks like right out of one of the Cousteau movies in Pink Panther. Right, Ryan Pepiot. A right-handed pitcher. 27 years old. He is basically out of Indianapolis, Indiana, his fourth season as a pro. Pitched out of Butler. He is 2-4 with a 4.23 ERA, 1.41 WHIP. So right now the matchup predictor has Phillies with a 54.9% matchup predictor.
They got to win. They got to win
tonight. Yes.
Because my guess was 100 wins for this Phillies team.
Well, then you need to take advantage of this one.
Let's go.
Because you got Luzardo. The pitching matchup favors the fighting Phils, but you just never know in this game of baseball. It's hard to sweep, but we are going for that sweep.
Well, and we got to go. We got the top of the hour coming up. The news is next on WBCB, and then we will continue with All In here from the Mount Airy Casino Resort and Spa. I think Lee Alexander are going to get mixed in here with Brazer, and we'll be back for more on BCB.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water.
I'm Ed Donahue. President Trump was asked about the election of Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Prevost as Pope.
To have the Pope from the United States of America, that's a great honor. That's a great honor.
The AP's Donna Warder reports it comes on the third vote at the conclave.
The crowd cheered in St. Peter's Square as the new pope was introduced to the world. 69-year-old Cardinal Robert Prevost, Pope Leo XIV, an American who's also a Peruvian citizen. His first words as Pope:
La pace sia con tutti voi.
Peace be with you all. Pope Leo is the first American pope. He's a Chicago native who the late Pope Francis had brought to the Vatican in 2023 to serve as the powerful head of the office that vets bishop nominations from around the world. In January, he was elevated into the senior ranks of cardinals. I'm Donna Warder.
President Trump says the U.S. and U.K. agreed to cut tariffs on U.K. cars, steel, and aluminum.
One of the things we did here that we'll rarely do is on cars, we took it from 25 to 10 on Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce is not going to be built here. I wouldn't even ask them to do that. You know, it's a very special car.
The president says details still need to be worked out, and he played down the possibility of other nations getting similar favorable terms. Stocks finished the day higher, a day after the Federal Reserve decided to stay put on interest rates. The president says Chair Jerome Powell should have cut rates.
He doesn't want to do it. Probably he's not in love with me. I think that's right. It's sort of a crazy reason, but that's the way life is.
Ukraine is accusing Russia of violating its own ceasefire more than 700 times. The unilateral ceasefire coincides with Russia's biggest secular holiday, the 80th anniversary of the victory over Nazi Germany. This is AP News.
Find mom's best gift at Target. Now through Mother's Day, get up to 40% off gifts for her. Discover trendy apparel and swimwear that'll elevate any wardrobe. Jewelry that'll make her smile shine brighter, and even chocolate that'll turn any moment into something sweeter. There are endless options to choose from to show her she's the best. Hurry! Save 20 to 40% on select apparel, jewelry, chocolates, and more this Mother's Day only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. .com/credit card.
A dead shooting victim is getting a chance to speak.
Christopher Pelkey's family used artificial intelligence to create a video using an image of Pelkey to help give him a voice at the sentencing for the man convicted of shooting Pelkey during a road rage incident. While there were dozens of other statements submitted, nothing was quite like hearing from the victim himself.
Just to be clear for everyone seeing this, I am a version of Chris Pelkey recreated through AI.
The AI rendering of Pelkey had this message for the shooter.
In another life, we probably could have been friends. I believe in forgiveness and in God who forgives.
But some experts are questioning the use of artificial evidence of any kind in a courtroom. Gary Merchant with Arizona University works on AI legal issues.
And any time you have fake evidence, I think that's a legitimate reason to appeal.
In this case, the video was allowed. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
I'm Ed Donahue, AP News.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown. Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination.
We now return to All In.
All right, we're back to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. I'm John Brazer, and this hour I'll be joined by Lee Alexander, and we will also have Dickie Noles from the 1980 World Series team is on his way. He'll be here shortly. But Lee, are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for nonstop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights. I would love to check this out. The ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. And guess what? The party doesn't stop there. Get ready to shout Born in the USA, because coming August 16th, it's Bruce in the USA. You heard it first. Just because the leaves start to turn doesn't mean the party stops. Mount Airy Casino Resort keeps the good times rolling with comedians, mediums, and incredible tribute bands. Visit MountAiryCasino.com for more information or to purchase tickets. That's MountAiry WBCBcasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, as I mentioned, we got Lee Alexander with us right now. Lee, before we get into some talk, Fighting Phil's talk, I want to go through the schedule right now because we are playing tonight in Tampa. They're playing at Legends Field or Steinbrenner Field.
Rather unique setting.
Very unique setting. 7-5 game, as we said, Lazard is on the mound. After that, the team goes to Cleveland. They play Cleveland Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It looks like I think we're on ESPN TV on Sunday night.
I believe
if
so.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it's a nationally televised game, which would be great. They can see, and it is ESPN game, and it looks like we'll have Zach Wheeler, if all is good. Zach Wheeler on the mound for that one. So that should be a good one. So let's give you the matchups that we should see this weekend against Guardians. Friday night, it looks like it's going to be Nola versus Williams, Gavin Williams. That is Friday night. On Saturday, we will be 7 o'clock games, or 6:10 game. Sorry. You're going to have Ranger Suarez. Hopefully he can get, he can kind of recover from the last start. He got off to a great start. Then he fell apart. But hopefully Suarez can pitch to what he's capable of doing. And going up against Tanner Bibby. Bibby or Bibby? What do you think?
Potato.
Potato. So, all right. So we finished with Cleveland. And then coming to town, we have the Cardinals for 3 games at home. Day off on Thursday. We got Pittsburgh coming in home. So that's 3 games there. We go out to Colorado for 4 games. And then we play the A's over the weekend. So this is a really good stretch where the Phillies have to take advantage of the schedule. Again, Tampa's tough tonight. Cleveland is tough, but we got to take care of that. St. Louis can be. But, then we should get into, hopefully we miss Paul Skeens. And we can go, Pittsburgh is struggling. They just fired
their manager.
They fired their manager today, Shelton. But then we got Colorado on the road for 4 games, and then Oakland in Sacramento for 3 games. And those games are very important, Lee, because we go into a stretch where we play Atlanta at home for 3 games, end of May. We play Milwaukee home, 3 games, end of May. And then we go to Toronto, go to Pittsburgh, but then we got the Cubs, Toronto, Miami, then Mets, and Houston Astros, Atlanta. And that basically is the first half of the season.
Well, if you remember, this was this month last year.
Yep.
That the Phillies basically won the division.
Yes, they went on a roll. And we're healthy right now, knock on wood. We got pretty much everyone healthy. The bullpen's starting to come around a little bit. The offense is coming around. I think we scored 7+ runs in like 6 of the last 10 games, I think.
Yeah, and this was, you think back a couple of weeks coming off that Mets series, and the fans were getting concerned.
Yep.
They're around 500. And then I saw some numbers comparing where we were at this point last year versus where we were at this point this year a couple weeks ago.
And what did it say?
Basically the same.
Yeah.
Offensively, they were the same. And you realize that, the real damage was done May and early June last year. And after that,
we were basically 500.
Yes.
Yeah, we were 500 once. Basically, when we went to England. At that point, from that point on, we were 500.
But they were like 50 and 15, I think,
right.
at the start. But most of that wasn't in the first 2 or 3 weeks of April. It was the end of April and then May, and that's where we're at now. We're kind of simulating that same tone over the first 6 weeks of the season.
And as opposed to last year, what we had to do is you're going to have your lulls, but we need to get hot. If you think about last year, the end of last season, the 2 hottest teams were the Padres and the Mets. From the All-Star break, they were the 2 best records, Padres on the National League side. And we obviously went up against the Mets. Padres didn't make it through, but the Mets were feeling it right there. And that's we got to get to that point in September where we're ending that season on a good run coming into the playoffs. I don't care whether wild card or division. You'd like to win the division, but then again, it's shown that Dodgers won it by winning the division, the whole thing. But also when you have those days off, we've seen certain teams that
you lose the momentum.
You lose the momentum, like Atlanta. All right, so let's talk about we are talking about the current Phillies, but what we haven't talked about is what's going on down in the minor leagues, because I think that, there are some reinforcements if we need them. We're starting to build some depth. One guy, Lee, that we kind of forgot about, but he's only 23 years old. Mick Abel. Mick Abel was the organization's pitcher of the month in April. Again, we kind of forgot about him because all this hype about Andrew Painter.
He was actually picked before Andrew Painter.
Right. Picked out of high school, and both high school guys. Abel went 3-1 with a 2.15 ERA. He only gave up 7 earned runs in 29.1 innings pitched. He had 32 strikeouts, again, in 29 innings. 11 walks, that's been his issue. Still higher than what you want, but much lower than what he has been doing. 1.09 whip and a 198 opponent's batting average. Opponents are 21 for 106 and 5 starts for AAA. So he is second in innings pitched in the International League. He's tied for second in strikeouts and wins, tied for sixth in opponent's batting average. Excuse me, 7th in ERA, and he is tied for 9th in whip.
And last year, Mick Abel fell off the face of the earth.
He did.
A horrible season. I mean, he was removed from most top 100 prospects lists. And what he's done now is pretty interesting because this could go one of two ways. He could either wind up here, probably not in the rotation, but maybe coming out of the bullpen.
Yep.
Or
he's good depth in case you have some injuries.
Well, there's a third because Jim Bowden in yesterday's Athletic column, or maybe it was a couple days ago. Anyway, he had a column 6 trades he'd like to see.
Right.
I don't
Could
know
be
if
a
you saw
trade
that.
chip.
I don't know if you saw that, but and you mentioned one of these teams coming in here was the Cardinals.
Yep.
He had Mick Abel going to the Cardinals for
Nelson.
No, for Helsley.
Oh, for
Helsley.
Was it straight up?
Yes.
Helsley for Mick Abel?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
It is interesting because Helsley's only 30 years old. Has been one of the better closers. Led the league in saves last year, I believe, and would be your. You can't say you're a closer because Alvarado's done a great job of that, but you have a righty-lefty combination there that could close.
Well,
games.
and it makes sense because you've got Sanchez signed, for an extension. You have Wheeler here for a couple years.
Another year of control of Luzardo.
Yeah, another year of him. You got Noles did an extension. So
and you got
now
Painter.
Suarez is going to be a free agent. So if you don't re-sign him, you have Painter.
And Walker.
Still have Taijuan Walker for another year. Right, so
where does Mick fit in as a starter?
Right, and we got some younger guys too. So, it's a good problem to have. Either we have him as depth, we have him, coming up as a starter at depth, or, as you said, bullpen. I mean, he's got to get his top pitch is his four-seamer. He's up to 90. He averages 95.6 miles per hour on his four-seamer, which ranks 5th among AAA pitchers this year. Really good to know. Another guy this is down way below. But he is related, pretty sure he's related to Acuna.
Yep.
Okay? Arun Escobar. We saw him down in spring training. Single A. He's batting .360 in Clearwater. .461 slugging percentage. On-base percentage, .627 slugging. 21 runs, 5 doubles, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs, 11 walks, 1 stolen base. He's from Venezuela. He is first in the Florida State League in runs, tied for first in hits, second in total bases and slugging percentage, third in batting average, on-base percentage, and OPS, tied for third in RBIs and extra base hits, tied for fourth in home runs, and tied for 8th in doubles. He's rated by Baseball America as having the best strike zone discipline in the Phillies minor league system entering the 2025 season, and he's reached base safely in all 19 of his games. So
and I'm assuming he is shooting up the charts of prospects that are on the come for the Phillies.
Yep.
And I know we got to take a break, but we will talk about him some more when we come back. I'm assuming he's not going to be in low A ball very long.
We will talk about Arun Escobar, and we'll also talk about the guy that a lot of people are getting very excited. Same thing, a name that just started jumping off. He was an unheralded guy, and he's starting to really make some noise in the minor leagues. Coming up, we will tell you who that player is. You're listening to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB, live from the Mount Airy Casino and Resort.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones radio experience right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM. Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be. We now return to All In.
All right, we are back to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. We are live from Mount Airy Casino and Resort.
Beautiful
Beautiful Mount Airy Casino and Resort in Mount Pocono, PA. Yes, it was a great drive up here, Lee. I actually stopped. I had to use a little restroom stop since I'm old, and I stopped at a diner and actually just popped into the. Had a great little diner meal, and I'm looking forward to the meal here.
Absolutely.
What's the name of the restaurant again?
Bistecca at Il Mulino.
Bistecca at Il Mulino. Really looking forward to that. All right, so a lot to get to. We were talking about the minor leagues, and I was mentioning Arun Escobar, but another guy that's basically making some noise. Watch out for this name, because this guy was he was a non-roster invitee to spring training this year. Otto Kemp. He's 25 years old, so he's not, like real young, but he's 25. He's been on the Phillies radar for a couple of years, last year especially. He slashed 330 so far this year. His line's 330, 421, 711. He's gone 32 for 97 with 23 runs, 11 doubles, 1 triple, 8 home runs, 24 RBI, 9 walks, 3 stolen bases in 25 games for the Iron Pigs. Again, he was a non-roster invitee to spring training. His ranking so far in the International League: he is first in runs, extra base hits, total bases, slugging percentage, tied for first in home runs, second in doubles, second in RBI, second in OPS, tied for second in hits, seventh in batting average. He was named the IL International League Player of the Month. He's also hit by 4 pitches in a game. He got hit 4 times in a single game, setting the Lehigh Valley record. And he's set career highs in doubles on October 25th against Columbus, and he did against Rochester. So how about that? He signed it as a non-drafted free agent in 2022. Talk about a find right there.
Absolutely.
Otto Kemp. Now, he's also a guy, he's like a Swiss Army knife. He can play infield, outfield. I don't think he has one particular defensive, it's not like he's master at third base. He's pretty good at all the different bases, so he gives you a lot of flexibility.
I got into a little good-natured bantering in the comments section after reading Matt Gelb's column in The Athletic the other day. I'm thinking that the next step for Otto is obviously here.
Right.
He's at AAA.
AAA.
And he's tearing it up.
Yep.
Up until the last week, Alec Boehm has not gotten off to a good start, and that's after a really bad last 3 months of the season and the playoffs last year. We actually got benched in the playoffs. And I was wondering what Matt's idea, if he had any, of what the organization thought of Otto Kemp. Is he a guy that you could foresee playing here? Is he just a bench guy? Is he trade bait? And some people were commenting, you're not going to bring up an undrafted free agent and replace a guy that was picked 3rd overall in the draft. I get that. Pedigree carries you only so far, though. And after a certain amount of time, who cares where Otto Kemp came from, whether he was a first-round draft pick or was he just an undrafted free agent?
I don't think that's that important. I think it's more the upside. If you're asking me, it's Alec Boehm. I think we've seen, up until the end of last year, Alec Boehm was a guy you could count on for 90 RBIs and 15.
But never giving you the power you really expected to get when you used the 3rd pick.
But he
of the
was
draft
also the guy that
him.
you want. He's the RBI guy that, to me, when Alec Boehm is going well, he's the guy. If anybody in the lineup that I want to up at bat in a big situation, because he's going to put the ball in the bat on the ball and he's going to drive the ball into the gaps, and I think.
Well, he was doing that. And
that's
I
what I'm
agree
saying.
with you. Yeah.
And so you're certainly not. And he's the last week or so, he's really turned it around. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think Otto Kemp. I don't know what we think of Otto Kemp. I think Otto Kemp is a guy. He's very interesting. His bat is unbelievable. Again, and the beauty is he's very versatile. He's got some pop. He can hit for average. Obviously, has improved it on the major league stage. And I don't know what his position is. Is he just that guy that's going to be like a Scott Kingery, and hopefully better than Scott Kingery at the major league level, and do a lot of positions? I'm not sure he's your everyday third baseman to replace.
Well, I think it brings up an interesting dilemma, if you will, for the Phillies, because I mentioned Matt Gelb a second ago. I was listening to his podcast because I didn't get an answer in the comments about what the organization may have thought of Kemp. And while not specifically saying he thought Kemp could come up and play third base, he did say that. Now, again, keep in mind, this is about 3 or 4 games ago.
Okay.
But that if today were the day that the Phillies had to decide what to do about Alec Boehm going into next year,
okay,
that Matt Gelb's opinion is the Phillies would non-tender Alec Boehm, which to me is kind of shocking to think that the guy who was picked 3rd in the draft, who, like you said, was an all-star last year, is maybe not the home run hitter that you wanted him to be, but who's going to drive in 90 runs, who's going to hit 40 or 50 doubles in a year. If that guy doesn't come back over the next month or two, I liken it to a situation, if you want to go back a number of years, Phillies had a guy that could play multiple positions on the diamond. They weren't sure what they had in him, and they traded Placido Polanco to the Cardinals. And I think at the time, David Bell was the guy that they kept.
Yes.
A higher pedigreed guy at the time. And is there a parallel here? Could you, if you wind up moving Kemp in a deal and you don't wind up bringing Alec Boehm back next year, is that a decision you're going to wind up regretting?
Well, I think what would happen is in that scenario, I think in my opinion, I think if you think that's where the Phillies are going to be going, then Phillies shouldn't non-tender him. He's got a lot of value.
Well, there was talk about him being available in trade.
Well, that's
over
what
this past season.
If the feeling is, if the Phillies feel the way you were just saying, then it'd be much better to trade Alec, and you got to get value back. You're not getting any value back if you non-tender him.
Right, and you have to make that decision sometime in the next 2 months.
So, yeah, I mean, again, who knows? I know there's a lot of it's going to depend on what happens in the next 2 months. And maybe it's not that urgent, but the next 2 months, see how the offense is going, see how Alec's playing, right? And see how these other guys are that could potentially fill in. I mean, there's a lot of decisions they're going to make. Is Trey Turner how long is he going to be at shortstop?
And is he willing to move off of shortstop?
You've got, Bryson Stott, who came up as a shortstop. Obviously he's handling second base great. Can probably slide right into shortstop. If you play shortstop, you can pretty much play third.
It probably won't be this year, but you've also got your number one prospect in the organization.
You got Aiden Miller who's coming up, probably a couple of years away, even though he's in Double-A. So, yeah, I mean, the good news is we have some good options as far as coming up and guys with versatility. Dave Dombrowski the next year or so is really going to be, as some guys are getting older, and bringing in the youth. What moves can we make that make the team better? And if the short-term deal is this year, if our bullpen falters towards the end of the year and towards the deadline, I should say, and all of a sudden you need to get a Ryan Hensley from the Cardinals, and obviously if you're getting Hensley, he was last year, I believe, with the Cardinals. So they're probably, if the Cardinals fade out of contention, they're going to have to get rid of him. But they're also going to want, he's going to be highly sought after in the trade market.
No
so
doubt.
You're going to have to, do you give up? I don't know. I mean, do you give up a young kid like Mick Abel? Do you give up an Alec Boehm type, like something that maybe you don't want to pay arbitration to down the road, and you think you can have somebody that can fill in at third, and that's bold.
It is, especially
and getting rid of Mick Abel's bold.
Yeah, especially. Well, the Abel one you can more make
justify because
yes.
you've got depth in the
yes.
in the minor leagues, and Painter coming up, and some other guys that are looking like Moisey Chassé and some
right.
other guys that are.
The leap of faith would be you'd like to see what Kemp can do here before you would make any move on
right.
Boehm, especially mid-season. And I agree that's probably not going to happen. But if Matt Gelb is correct and the Phillies are considering or would consider
right.
non-tendering him, like you said, why would you want to lose him for nothing?
We wouldn't non. I don't see a scenario where you just non-tender him. That's a waste. He's got way too much value to us or to another team to non-tender.
But the flip side of that is if the rumors were true that they did make him available this offseason, then obviously the Phillies did not get value back from another organization that they felt justified moving him.
Yeah. Well, we just didn't feel like pulling the trigger at the time. But you're right. Yeah, I think if he was,
if he was valued by someone else the same
right.
way the Phillies value him, he probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. This
and some of this isn't just the way that the statistics that Boehm's putting up. Some of it is the way he handles himself when things aren't
he's
going.
Just very he's an emotional guy, and I think the other this is key too because you got Schwarber. I mean, Schwarber right now is tied for the league
a guy
in home runs.
You've got to figure out a way to resign.
Yeah, I mean, but Schwarber's it takes two to tango, and Schwarber's got to agree to, I'm sure the Phillies probably want to do a 3-year deal, and Schwarber probably wants to do a 4 if not 5-year deal, right? It'll be his last big contract. He knows that if he goes to the free agent market, there's tons of teams that would want him. Who knows? Maybe Chicago or goes back to his roots in Ohio or somewhere. Then you also have to deal with JT Realmuto. He's on the last year of his contract.
Those two seem like an easier.
He's 34 years old. Is Marshawn ready to take over the reins?
You got you got another young guy.
He's really young.
Yes.
Tait's 19 years old, and he is
already in Single A though.
He's the future of the Phillies as far as catching, but obviously he's a ways away. So a lot of decisions to be made by Dombrowski and his staff, and we'll see. So, all right, we'll talk more Phils. We'll talk some Eagles. We'll have Dickie Noles coming in. All that on the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. We are live from the Mount Airy Casino and Resort.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League Champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, prove it.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
Listen to Bucks Blue with Lower Makefield Chief of Police Joe Kelly, brought to you by Jammer Doors, and heard on the third Tuesday of every month at 1 p.m. right here on WBCB 1490 AM and 107.3 FM.
We now return to All In.
All right, we are back to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. I am John Brazer, joined by Lee Alexander. The one sport we haven't talked about is it's in Philadelphia, where the spotlight, the PGA spotlight, is on Philadelphia right now. It's actually pretty cool, and there's a big marquee event in any sport in Philadelphia. And at the Philadelphia Cricket Club, right now the Truist tournament is going on, and Denny McCarthy is leading right now. He's in the he finished the first round 8 under. You got Morikawa, who still has 3 more holes to play at 7 under, and you got a good leaderboard because you've got Ricky Fowler and you got some other guys, Cantley, English, Burns, some other guys. So a good field. Justin Thomas is in there. I know Rory's in there at 3 under. So it'll be fun. I'm going out there tomorrow.
Yeah, they may.
You ever gone out to a golf tournament?
I have not. I just hope for your sake and their sake that tomorrow is not the way it's looking like it's going to be from a weather standpoint, or they're going to have some trouble getting that round in tomorrow.
Right. It's gonna rain pretty good, I think. Sad news. Just found out that Chet Lemon, who's 3-time All-Star center fielder with the 1984 Tigers, passed away. He was 70 years old. So rest in peace, Chet Lemon.
He's a great player.
He was a very good player. You know, it's funny. Do you ever do Immaculate Grid?
I haven't in a while, but yes, I have
Immaculate
done
Grid
it.
is a game you can play on your phone. I think it's baseball. It's all sports. I do baseball every day, where you have to match up guys who played for two different teams, where they'll have milestones. They'll say over 300 home runs and born outside the United States, and it's a lot of fun if you're a baseball geek like me. But all good. All right, let's go through the standings so far in Major League Baseball. Right now, the Phils are on a good tear. They're 8-2 in the last 10 games.
Just 2 back, right?
Yeah, 2 back, yes. And the Mets started building up a little.
If I can just, before you continue on that, you brought up the Mets, and that's one thing that I would like to see before we get to the playoffs. We talked about carrying momentum into the playoffs. I think the Phillies need to get the Mets bugaboo off their back.
Yes, because right now the Mets are in the Phillies' heads, it seems.
Yes.
So I totally agree with you. But the Mets are 24-14. Fighting Phils are 21-15. We are 2 games back. The Braves have made up some ground, but they're still under 500 right now. But they haven't got Strider back. They haven't had Acuna back.
They'll be there.
So they're going to be there. They always are. They are 6 games back. Nationals are 7 games back. And Miami is 9 games back. When you look at the Central League, the Cubs are basically have the same record as the Phillies. They're 22-16. They played 2 more games. Milwaukee is 3 games back at 500. Cincinnati's playing 500. St. Louis playing 500. They're all 3 games back. Pittsburgh, again, just got their manager fired. They are 12-26, 10 games back. The Dodgers had the best record in baseball. Shocker. 25-12. But it's interesting. Max Muncy's not hitting home runs. Sasaki's not been great. But they just have so much depth and superstars.
They can afford a 6-man starting rotation on the disabled list.
On the disabled list, you're right. San Diego Padres are 23-13. They're a game and a half back. Now Dylan Cease he left the game early yesterday with forearm tightness, so you never want to hear those words. It worked out so far for us.
Sanchez,
yes,
a couple weeks ago.
So San Diego is a hot team. San Francisco, we saw when we played them. They are a hot team too. They are 1.5 games back, 24-14. Diamondbacks are hanging in there 6 back, and then Colorado is struggling 6-29. The teams that are doing well, just for the American League, I'll just tell you who's leading the divisions. The Yankees are up on Boston by 2. Aaron Judge is having an otherworldly season right now. He is batting 400, and he's leading in batting average. The next guy, Wilson, with 357. Aaron Judge is also tied for home runs with Cal Raleigh and Kyle Schwarber for the all-time lead. For RBIs, Aaron Judge is tied with Toscar Hernandez and Pete Alonso with 34. Hits, Aaron Judge is leading in hits with 56 hits right now. I mean, the guy is a monster.
Modern-day Babe Ruth.
Modern-day Babe Ruth is he's hitting contact, hitting for power. Pitching leaders around Major League Baseball. Thankfully, this guy is on the Yankees and not the Braves. But Max Fried is on the Yankees. He already has 6 wins. Robbie Ray for the Giants has 5. Hunter Brown for the Houston. He's a young guy that look out. And how about our old guy Nick Pivetta has 5 wins. Hard to believe. Earned run average is Yamamoto for the Dodgers. They signed him 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
And then Max Fried, Senga. So
Luzardo's got to be in there, right? He's under 2.
Luzardo's got to be up there. Yes, Luzardo. Let's see. Luzardo is number 6, right outside the top 5.
And you mentioned, I want to bring this back to what we were talking about pre-break. You mentioned the Cubs a minute ago as leaders out there. There's a guy on the Cubs who is scheduled to be a free agent after this year, who has been linked in some articles with
Former
the Phillies.
Astro?
Former Astro.
Kyle Tucker?
So, yeah, my question is it possible that you haven't not had an extension with Schwarber, you have not had an extension with Real Muto, you've got some guys that would be coming off the books? Is the scenario that you're looking at potentially putting another, and this is going to cost you
a lot,
$600 million, maybe $500 million?
A lot, yes. Well, okay, that's just another jigsaw piece you got to put in, right? So if you're delaying your tactics with Schwarber, knowing that you have a good chance of getting Tucker, well, all of a sudden you let Schwarber get to free agency, and now you're competing with 29 other teams. and then
you
you're trying
get
to
Tucker.
and you're trying to get Tucker, but you're competing with 29 other teams, and all of a sudden you're left holding the bag, and then maybe depending on someone from the minor leagues come up, and
somebody from the minor leagues is not going to come up and hit 50 home
runs. No,
runs.
you're not. You're not going to be established. So there's a lot of, again, big decisions that Dombrowski and his staff are going to have to figure out pragmatically and find out. The safest route would be, we know the leader that Schwarber is in the clubhouse, right? So the intangibles he brings to the team. You know what he brings to the team, as I just mentioned, he's tied for the league in home runs. He brings that power. He gets on base. He takes walks, right?
If I'm Dave Dombrowski for a day, this is an easy one. I'm bringing Schwarber back.
I'm bringing him back, too, because I don't want to go to risk of not being able to sign Schwarber or Tucker or somebody of that magnitude.
I would hope that I could still try to get Tucker, even if I kept Schwarber, thinking that Castellanos has one more year. He's probably not going to be back after that amount of time. Real Muto is a lot of money that's going to be coming off, if I'm Dave for a day, coming off the books, because I'm not going to, as much as JT means to the pitching staff, the reason he's getting paid what he's getting paid is because he was an outlier offensively as a catcher.
Yep.
If he's just a good defensive catcher, they're, I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but they're certainly not $23 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because JT brings a lot of intangibles,
But you can't make that mistake where you feel like you want to keep the gang together.
Right.
I mean, we saw what happened in 2010 and 11, 12, 13, 14. You can't do that.
But you said outlier. He's kind of an outlier in the sense that JT takes care of himself, right? He wants to play every day.
But you've seen over the last couple of years, the offensive numbers are in decline, and they're not going to change most likely at 34.
We'll see. It's just I would re-sign him to a 2-year deal and just with maybe club option or player option if he's up for it. But some team will pay him.
Somebody's going to pay him a lot more than I would pay him if I were the Phillies, considering what our overall payroll is and what your needs are probably going to be after this year. You're gonna need probably bullpen help. But speaking of bullpen, let's go back. You talked when you were talking with Chris earlier about the game the other night, last night actually, and to me, the biggest eye popper was Taijuan Walker.
Right.
Now it's one game. You don't want to go out on and get crazy about one game.
But he showed you a lot in that one game.
Absolutely.
I mean, he struck on the side twice. I mean, that brings up a whole lot of options. I mean, one, you want to keep him stretched out. You don't want to have him build up as like just pitching one inning at a time, because you kind of also want him to keep being stretched out in case you have to put him back as a starter, in case we go to a 6-man rotation, right? And he's super valuable if again, you save the bullpen. If someone can go, like last night, someone goes 5 runs, 6 runs, we're in the game, we're tied, down by 1 or 2, whatever, and the bullpen's been, pitched a lot, you put in Taijuan Walker for 3 innings, 4 innings, well, that saves you. It saves the bullpen. Right now, you got Tampa tonight, going for this.
Let's dream on this, though. Let's not look at him as a guy that maybe, and again, I know I'm just doing the opposite of what I just said, not get too excited about something, but it wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an average to below average starter, which is what he's been over the last year plus, become an elite relief pitcher. We just had a guy here for the last 2 years in Jeff Hoffman, who was not a good starting pitcher.
Right.
Became a premier relief pitcher. And part of the reason, I think, is when you go to the pen, you don't have to have 3 or 4 pitches.
You don't have to set people up.
And you don't have to pace yourself.
Yes. Yeah,
so look what Walker's miles per hour were on his fastball last night.
Brett Myers, and I wouldn't put Brett in that category because I think Brett was a very good starting pitcher. But Brett, remember when we put him in the bullpen? When we put him in the bullpen, basically he was already ramped up. He had tons of energy, and he was that good. But yes, he could be a high leverage guy.
Absolutely, and if he is, then you've got all kinds of possibilities.
Yes, it opens up a lot of things.
And what you're paying him all of a sudden, $18 million is a lot of money to pay for a below average starter, but a high end relief pitcher who can close games.
Right.
And again, we're getting way out ahead of ourselves, but
it's a nice problem to have. Look, last night was a great sign and opens up a lot of possibilities on a good way. by having Taijuan
No
Walker
question.
do what he did.
If you can see him in that role before the trade deadline,
Yep.
then all of a sudden you don't feel compelled to overpay
Yep.
for a guy who may not even be here more than 2 months or 3 months, and have to give up a valuable prospect.
I agree. All right, coming up in the show, we promise you will be talking with Dickie Noles when we get back. You're listening to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. We are live from the Mount Airy Casino and Resort.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Are you ready for a summer packed with unforgettable entertainment? Look no further than Mount Airy Casino Resort, your destination for non-stop fun. Get ready to rock on June 14th with Hollywood Nights, the ultimate Bob Seger tribute. Then prepare for liftoff on July 12th with Earth to Mars, bringing you all the electrifying hits of Bruno Mars. Looking for some serious thrills and big wins this summer? Then head to Mount Airy Casino Resort, where the gaming action is hotter than the summer sun. Experience 10-time odds on craps at Mount Airy. That's right, 10 times the excitement and 10 times the potential to win big on every roll. Enjoy $5 minimum blackjack tables every Monday through Thursday from noon to 8 p.m. Visit MountAiryCasino.com to learn more about these amazing summer gaming promotions. That's MountAiryCasino.com. All guests must be at least 21 years of age. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
I'm Henry Carpenter, certified elder law attorney and host of Senior Legal Strategies right here on WBCB every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. On a recent Senior Legal Strategies, we discussed how elder law has grown over the years. We now bring so many services and supports to our clients, whether planning for care, protecting assets for family, or assisting in a long-term care placement. We have the knowledge and expertise to guide you to the best possible result. I invite you to call us today at 215-493-0727 to schedule a no-cost consultation, and visit us on the web at buckscountyelderlaw.com.
Are you a parrot head? Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Mt Pocono Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
We now return to All In.
All right, we are back to the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. I am John Brazer, and I'm joined by Dickie Noles. How you doing, Dickie?
I'm doing good, Johnny. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Always good seeing you. Now, I got a bunch of questions to ask. We got a short little segment before we got to wrap up at 5, but a couple things. One is, have you heard about, we were talking earlier at the beginning of the show that, sometimes there's these new pitches or sometimes just a new way of saying a new pitch. But there's the cutter, the cutter went in, especially Mariano Rivera put it in vogue. And then you got the sweeper, which is a variation on the slider, right? But now, have you heard of this? There are 3 members of the Mets rotation that have an ERA, a combined 2.66, because they've been using what's been called a kick change. Have you heard this? I
have not. Fill me in.
Yeah, so this pitcher last year from the Giants, right-hander Hayden Birdsong, introduced it to Major League Baseball. It is a change-up splitter hybrid, okay? A change-up splitter hybrid. And these Clay Holmes was in the bullpen with the Yankees last year. McGill's been kind of up and down with the Mets, and Griffin Caning's a young guy, and they've been starting to use it a lot, the right-handed pitchers. And now all of a sudden they're having good. Now it's almost like those bats, the torpedo bats, where now, are people going to really, do this? It's a modified changeup. It features a changeup-like grip and generates changeup-like spin, but it has splitter-like movement. So it has big vertical depth, and it's thrown harder. So it doesn't have fade like a traditional changeup. It has like depth and harder.
I imagine if it's harder, it's less of a tumble and just a straight down movement. So I know I've seen Clay Holmes' changeup is filthy, but sometimes you think you know everything about baseball.
And that's something else. Well, this is where the middle finger is spiked. Okay. So it's raised off the ball, right? Pitcher fingers lay flat on the ball for traditional changeups. So this is spiked, and the spiked middle finger kicks the ball's axis forward through the release, which alters how the ball spins and produces the pitch's downward movement. The ring finger cuts down efficiency, killing the spin to produce more tumble. Right?
I wish I'd have known that was around when I played.
I was going to say, when you're in your day and age, would you have, let's say you're a 6-year veteran, and all of a sudden you're reading this and you're hearing about this, would you tinker with that, something like that in the bullpen?
Daggum right.
You would?
Yeah, I would, because I never developed a changeup. I would have been able to. I would have been one trying that. Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the team. We've had you on before. We won't go through your career. Obviously, you had a great career. But let's talk about the team so far. Team is playing really well. 8-2 in the last 10 games. It looks like some of the offensive pieces. Trey Turner is pretty hot right now. Stott, I'd love him at the leadoff. We're doing all this really without Bryce Harper tearing it up yet, which is a great sign because at some point he will, and then he's going to carry the team.
Right.
Starting pitching's been phenomenal, and then as we were just talking with Lee Alexander, how about the last night, Taijuan Walker? How about that?
Maybe that's his role. I mean, he came in and punched out 7 guys. He was throwing 94, 95 too. He's throwing harder. So I think that's a plus for us right there. I mean, because he can go long relief, fill in, start, and as you said, he pitched 3 perfect innings just about and struck out 7 guys. I think everybody's happy about that.
And as I said earlier, that the beauty of that is you had Sanchez going 6 innings. And then you've got, instead of having to use 3 different guys to close out a game, you basically have one guy that shuts it down. And now you've got the game tonight where we're going for the sweep, and you got Luzardo, who's most likely, knock on wood, will give you 6 innings, right? But now you've got a fresh Strom, you got a fresh Alvarado, you got a fresh Romano, you got a fresh, pretty much everyone's available right now.
I agree. I think what he did last night was absolutely fantastic for that reason, to protect the bullpen. But also I think it gives us a guy in the bullpen that you can go length with. And I think today everybody's a 1-inning pitcher.
Right.
This guy comes in for the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, and now you got a guy that can come in and finish off ball games. So, he might throw a 4-inning save someday for you. But I really like what I seen last night about him using his back leg and using his legs a little more. So I think that's where you're probably going to see the velocity increase, not just like of innings pitch, as far as shortened innings pitch. Still, he pitched 3 innings, still had that velocity.
Now, do you see, there's talk about they might go to a 6-man rotation, and they want to keep him kind of stretched out, right? I don't think they want to put him into a higher leverage role where, he becomes 8th-inning guy. I think they'd like to keep him, when he goes out there, he pitches 2-3 innings.
You would have to see a whole lot more of him to put him in an 8th or 9th inning situation. But if they go to a 6-man rotation, I mean, that's fantastic. I know a lot of guys probably don't like 6-man rotations, but if they did that, if you've got 6 pitchers, I mean, I've seen where the Braves and somebody else, and I think it was the Mets or I forget who it was, and few clubs have already used a whole lot of pitchers, and we've used less starting pitchers than anybody. So knock on wood again and hope that maintains its course and we keep our pitchers healthy.
Yeah, but especially we got Painter, theoretically coming in July or so. So that's going to give you a 6th option to the current guys we have. It could give you options of trading somebody if for some reason you need a bullpen piece. Then maybe you have some depth to do that. Or again, Taijuan Walker could be that 6th guy. Maybe Taijuan Walker pitches so well that all of a sudden another team says, you know what, I want to get that guy for. It's just his success and his attitude. I want to talk about that too.
Okay.
His attitude has been so good. Here's a guy that got booed, that got mercilessly killed in the radio, on print, and from all, I've been in the clubhouse here and there, and from everyone I've talked to, he has handled it better than anybody probably could have ever expected. He's a class act that doesn't say anything negative, just puts his head down and goes to work.
Yeah, I heard Robbie Thompson speak of that the other night on the pregame show. On the after game show. And one of the things that Robbie said was his attitude's never changed. It's always been wonderful, and he worked hard. So, yeah, if you got starting pitching and you need outfield, a big slugger or something down the stretch, then Taijuan Walker or Painter hopefully will never be traded. But somebody like that in your rotation could bring a whole lot in. So you're right. Starting pitching is gold.
Well, and we had talked with Lee about the pitcher of the month and AAA is Mick Abel. And here's, I think a lot of Philly fans probably gave up on the guy last year who struggled, right, had control issues. And, now it's 1 month, but Mick Abel is pitching lights out. It looks like his control's gotten much better as far as walking guys.
Well, I've seen Mick Abel and Painter back-to-back along with when Preston Mattingly was still in the minor leagues. We were down in Lakewood. And Abel, first of all, Painter came out and threw a ball game. And I'm going to tell you something. You walked away from there going, that's a Dwight Gooden or Roger Clemens waiting to happen like right now. The next night, Abel followed him. And I can tell you on the way home, I didn't know which one I'd take on that particular game. I talked to a couple scouts that are up there, and they seen Mick Abel, and they called me up. I know a lot of scouts, and called me up, and they said, I could see putting this guy in the bullpen right now. I'd love to see this guy in the bullpen, Mick Abel, but my God, the more I see him pitch, the more I'm falling in love with this guy, and I do believe that he's got a chance to be a number 3 or 4 starting major league, number 3 or number 4 in a major league starting pitcher.
Well, also could give you depth. Again, if you need that, let's say that Dombrowski feels that we need a stud closer, right? Mm-hmm. That could be trade bait for that. Or if, again, as you said, a bat, someone goes down and you need offensive punch because somebody, knock on wood, gets hurt, then, again, it's nice to have that depth down there. And there's some other guys, too, that Moise Chasse, right? Mm-hmm. And some other, Seth Johnson. And
there's quite a few young pitchers.
Johnson.
Yeah. But I tell you what, you just said something more important than anything, that closer. If you want that closer, that guy that you know that you're going to say, okay, everybody else fill your role, there's my closer, you're going to be in at the end of the game, then that's the type of guy, that's the type of talent that would bring in a closer.
Right. Again, Lee was brought up the fact that, that Ryan Hensley for the Cardinals, total stud, right? Guy's having lights out year this year.
I can't take credit for it.
But all of a sudden, you're going to need to give quality to get quality. And, who knows, maybe in that situation, Mick Abel keeps pitching well. We have the depth with Painter and some other guys, Chasse coming up. It could be real good things.
Well, Painter is a special type of pitcher.
Yep.
So Painter is a once-in-a-lifetime pitcher.
Right.
So if you can compare Mick Abel at times with Painter, so Mick Abel's going to bring you a lot if you were looking to improve your bullpen or whatever, because I think everything that scout told me is a year ago he said the same thing that a lot of people in Philadelphia said. But on the way home from seeing him in Lehigh Valley, called me up and said, I'm going to tell you something about Mick Abel. That guy just made me very interested, and I was uninterested.
Well, Dickie, thank you very much. That wraps up the All In Show on 1490 WBCB. I'd like to thank my co-host for the first couple hours, Chris Ermer. My co-host for the past hour, Lee Alexander. My guest today, the great Dickie Noles. Back in the studio, Stephen Lawler. Our on-site producer, Bree O'Neill. Thanks also to Ben Jones, CEO of BCWSA. We had Nicole Krieger from Mount Airy Casino Resort. And thank you very much to the Mount Airy Casino Resort in Mount Pocono, because we are having dinner tonight. Spend the night. We're going to have a great time here. Beautiful facility. Make sure you get up here. Make sure to catch the Bull Session every Monday and the Baseball Insider shows this summer on Sundays when the team is on the road, including we'll be there 12 o'clock this Saturday. Tommy Green and myself will be at Team Toyota. Till then, have a great week. And as late great Harry Decay says, we are out of here.
Go Phils.
Go Phils.